Welcome to Manhwa Recaps, spoilers ahead, watch out, and take care. Huge shout out and special thanks to the channel members. The manhwa starts by showing us a pavilion inside of Murim. A man begins speaking, and this is the living Buddha named Master Mu-san, asking someone what they want to know about Wai Yonyo. The person says that's right, and they're compiling materials to document his history. Mu-san laughs, saying that Yonyo, the radiant martial sovereign, was a very benevolent and upright man, and the Buddha must have sent him down to them. The historian says that it's just as she thought, wondering what he was like in his everyday life. Mu-san starts shaking, talking about his daily behavior and his appearance, but says that he can't do this shit anymore, and he looks pissed. The historian asks what he's talking about, and why he's swearing as a Buddhist. It then jumps to the historian gets kicked out of the Pyang clan by the supreme elder of the clan named Pyang Do-juk, saying that he's so damn tired of hearing Yonyo's name. It's always something to do with him. He wonders why the historian is even here, telling his men to bring a bag of salt scattered around to keep the ghost out. We learn more about Yonyo, the radiant martial sovereign. He's a legendary figure who ended the era of chaos, a true gentleman and a great man, and a renowned chivalrous warrior often spoken of across the world. Some call him the greatest of all time, and others the greatest chivalrous warrior. But she doesn't know why every single person avoids talking about him. And as a historian, this is her duty to document even the hidden sides of history. Today, she may finally learn the reason why. As she heads to the Beggar sect, she talks to the divine mad dog, who laughs at her for getting chased away from Shaolin and the Pyang clan. The historian says that everybody's responses were pretty much the same wherever she went. The moment she brought up Yonyo's name, they'd all just treat her harshly. The mad dog says of course they would react like that. She asks what he means, and he starts to explain it. We get a flashback to 100 years ago in Guangdong, specifically at the Wai clan, and that he was the absolute worst kind of person. And as we see him laying on his bed, he says he wants to become the strongest. And this was when he was only 12 years old. There was once a boy who dreamed of becoming the greatest under the heavens. Born into a martial clan, he was raised learning the chivalry of warriors. Because of that, he already knew the quickest path to the top, and that path was through nothing but relentless effort. And he says no matter how gifted he is, nothing comes without effort, and effort is the only true way forward. But even though he knew all this, there was one small issue. He looks out the window, seeing the sun already setting, saying that it's too late to begin. He sits up, taking another look outside, and then starts to just flip over, laying back on his side. He says it sure is a shame, as today was supposed to be the day that he laid the foundations to become the best. And then he says he'll sleep soundly tonight and train tomorrow. Someone enters his room and starts approaching him, saying to get up. Yonyo doesn't react, and the guy yells, saying to wake the hell up. Yonyo does, asking what brings him here. And this is his father, the patriarch of the clan, and the righteous chivalrous swordsman named Jengen, asking if he knows what time it is. Yonyo says he saw the sun, and Jengen asks why he's still laying in bed. He says that's because the sun is going down. Jengen asks how long he's been holed up in his room. Yonyo says maybe 2 or 3 days, but he thinks it's 2. His father says it's been 4 days already, and he's been rolling around wrapped in a blanket for 4 damn days. Saying surely his back hurts from laying that long, even a bear would flip over from sweat after 3 days. Yonyo laughs, saying that's why he gets up every now and again, and he doesn't need to worry. His father gets furious, and Yonyo realizes this and tells him that he actually tried to train. His father asks how it went, but Yonyo says every time he opened his eyes, the sun was already setting. His father asks why that matters, and Yonyo says when the sun sets, you have to sleep. That way he can get up early the next day to train. His father flips his entire bed, picking it up, and starts screaming at him, saying he's going to fix that rotten attitude of his today, and then he's going to straighten him out for good. Back inside of Jengen's office, he's frustrated. The administrator named Joe Bang asks if this is about the second young master again. Jengen asks who else he can be worried about, and Bang tells him not to worry, as he'll mature soon enough. Jengen sighs, saying it's all his fault. He left on a martial duel pilgrimage the year that Yonyo turned 2, leaving his wife Han Sanga, his older son Sanho, Yonyo, and then their unborn child Surian. At that time, He thought the journey was only going to be at most 2 years. However, he got caught up in various incidents, and it wasn't until a whole 8 years later that he was able to return, and the entire clan greeted him. And though he earned the honorary title of righteous chivalrous swordsman, what he lost was far too great. When he returned, his once gentle wife had become fiercer than a tiger, saying that 8 years is too damn long. And his beloved son, whom he thought would not be a problem at all, had turned into a damn sloth. Jengen exhales, full of stress, and Bang tells him not to worry, as there should be a way. Jengen asks how, and Bang says that surely he hasn't forgotten that he'll be returning soon. Jengen asks what he's talking about, and then realizes that he's talking about his son. Bang says after 3 years, he'll finally be back from the academy. Jengen laughs, saying that Yonyo's in for it, because there's only one person he is actually truly scared of. Back to Yonyo getting the chills, he turns, wondering what it is, only to see that it's his brother Sanho, glaring down at him. Sanho asks how long he's been asleep, and Yonyo just wonders how long he's been there. Sanho says he asked first, and Yonyo realizes that he can't lie, but is very nervous. And Sanho just continues glaring at him. Yonyo says that it's not what he thinks. He trained early this morning, and he trained really hard, and he just took a nap because he got tired. He just wonders when his brother got back though. Sanho asks if he really trained, and Yonyo says yes. His brother then tells him to use a technique to cut that candle in two, and he wants to see how much he's improved over these 3 years. Yonyo gets up and holds his sword, and Sanho tells him to go ahead, wondering what he's waiting for. Yonyo says that they are indoors, and it could be dangerous. But Sanho says that he'll take care of all that, he just needs to show him what he's got. Yonyo says okay, and decides to do it, saying here goes nothing. He starts twirling his sword, and points it forward at the candle. He waits a second before dashing forward, doing a whole bunch of sword techniques as he flies across the room. And his brother looks surprised as Yonyo uses a technique called the soaring dragon. He swings, landing way past the candle. He turns, wondering if he did it, only to see that he didn't hurt it at all. And he says he can't believe he did all that for nothing. And Sanho says it's been 3 whole years, and that is enough for him to master a sword technique and to move on to another one, but in his case, it seems that he's gotten way worse than he was 3 years ago, and he leaves. Later that night at dinner, we see them all sitting around a table. Yonyo says he's gonna get indigestion, and he's sure of it. Jengen asks how the academy is, and Sanho says it's fine. His father wonders if he's had any difficulties, and he says that if there were no hardships, it wouldn't be training, and he believes they are essential in order to overcome himself. Jengen, proud of his son, says that he's suffered a lot in his absence. But Sanho says that he's the one who had it harder being away for so long. Jengen asks if he's had any other issues, and Sanho puts his chopsticks down, saying that there is a pretty big one. His mother Sangha wonders what's wrong, and he says that it's about Yonyo. They all kind of look worried, and Yonyo just wonders what the hell he did. Sanho continues, saying that he thinks that they need to bring him to his martial academy. Yonyo says hell no. And back to the mad dog telling the story, he said that even Musan and Dojuk grind their teeth at the mere mention of Yonyo's name. But this was the very start of the story, of when his great history began, as someone who stood above even the heavens and the martial realm, as he was completely untouchable. And nobody could have imagined that this lazy boy would have turned into somebody so strong. Back to Yonyo, he says he wants to rest a bit before they go, even though they just left the house. Yonyo looks back at his family, and his little sister, Surian, who is bawling her eyes out, telling him not to go. But his dad tells him to come back a man, and his mother just tells him to take care of himself. And they knew they couldn't stop him, even though they were a little sad to see him go. He tells them not to cry, as he'll be back. Surian waves him goodbye while Jengen laughs, and Sangha barks at him for laughing. As they're heading out, the journey was pretty smooth. At least that was the case only for Sanho, because Yonyo was dead tired. He asks him if they're almost there, and Sanho tells him there's 10 more days left. Yonyo asks if he heard that right, and Sanho says they would have gotten there in 5 if he knew how to ride a horse. Yonyo says he told him he's never ridden one before, and his brother says he wasn't blaming him, he was just answering his question. Yonyo says they should rest, and if he knows how steep the hill is, he's really tired. He feels like his back and ass are going to burst. He points over to a tree on a field, saying that those people are resting as well. Sanho looks over but realizes that they're not just sleeping. He hops off of his horse, and Yonyo asks what he's doing. Sanho approaches them and looks down, seeing flies on their corpses, and Yonyo asks what he's doing, but Sanho says they were too late, as every one of these men are dead. Yonyo starts screaming, and Sanho tells him to take a look at this as he takes off one of their clothes, showing a flower wound on a man's chest. He says this is called the flower indulging palm. Yonyo asks what the hell kind of name that is, and Sanho says it used to be called the crimson flower palm, but because of a rapist named Seo Ju-ak who went around committing evil acts using this technique, it became the flower indulging palm. Yonyo asks if he's trying to say there's a rapist around here. Sanho says he goes for women who are climbing the mountains, and that these bodies mean that he ambushed them while trying to get a woman. In other words, there's a woman in danger somewhere around here. He dashes off the ground, telling his brother to stay here, and he flies off like he's Superman, and Yonyo asks if he's really meant to stay here with these stinky ass corpses, but his brother is way too gone. Yonyo realizes that there's no point in screaming, and looks over grossed out as he's stuck with two horses who also stink, and actual rotting corpses, and he says that he's screwed. Later that night, he says he doesn't know where his brother is because it's taking him so long, and he should have just brought him along like with him. He wonders if maybe something happened, but there's no way his brother would be this late otherwise. He starts to hear the sound of some animals, and he says that he needs to do something because he might become a tiger's dinner if he just stands here like this. Then lightning strikes behind him, scaring him as it begins to have a very heavy downpour, drenching everything, and he looks up saying that he's actually screwed. We then hear him screaming, and he wonders how he ended up like this, as he's put both of the corpses on horseback and is pushing them up a hill, saying that he can't just leave them behind since they might become tiger food, and he can't bury them either because it's raining, and he needs to find some shelter now. As he's pushing the horse is getting mad at him, and Yonyo asks why it's not listening to him. With the river rapid below, and them being on the edge of a cliff, stressing the horse out, lightning strikes, scaring it, causing it to kick Yonyo. Yonyo screams and starts to fall backwards down the hill, hitting his head, his back, and then his head once more, landing in some bushes at the bottom. He starts groaning and saying that he can't believe that damn horse, but when he looks around, he realizes that he's in a cave, and there's no rain. He starts screaming, saying that he finally found shelter, and the horses follow him in, still carrying the two men. Yonyo ties them off to a rock, saying that he can't even hit them, and that this is why he prefers to stay home. He left a mark outside the cave, so hopefully his brother can find him, but he's low-key a little worried. Realizing he doesn't know what to do, he decides to just lay down and try to sleep, but when he does, he starts thinking about his brother, saying that he really hopes nothing went wrong, but says that his brother is strong, and he's sure that he'll be fine. As he starts falling asleep, the horses eat the rope and walk off, leaving him in the cave alone. As morning rises, it sets once more. Bro literally slept all day. But then an aura starts to envelop him in the middle of his sleep, as he starts floating in the middle of the cave. It lifts him up towards the ceiling, and then starts floating him deeper into the cave, still completely asleep. His head then starts to phase through a rock, and he vanishes like he was never in the cave to begin with. When he comes to, he wonders what he's looking at, as there's a weird green aura floating around the room. He says that this is weird, and it looks like the cave he was in, and he wonders if maybe he rolled in deeper in his sleep. He then hears a voice calling him fated human. He starts screaming and falls to the floor, and looking up surprised. An orb then welcomes him to the fated place, calling him the successor of their radiant sword. Yonyo asks if this sparkling thing is speaking. The orb says that they have transcended the restraints of a physical being, and they are speaking from beyond time and space. If he accepts their offer, he will rule the world. Yonyo starts freaking out because it's a ghost, and they tell him not to be afraid. They are already dead, only their will has been left behind, and that they have prepared this for someone who will get hereafter, so he should accept it without doubt. Yonyo says that this situation seems familiar. A cave without human presence, and an old man's will. Realizing that this is something told in so many Murim stories, he says that this is a fated encounter, and starts getting happy. He says the heavens are rewarding him for his kindness. He won't even have to go to the martial training hall if he becomes strong right here. As the orb tells him that there is no time, They need to inherit his sword and write the morals of the world. They will teach the radiant sword, and he can train himself endlessly. Yonyo just keeps agreeing to everything they say. The orb says that he should be talented enough if he has his blood, and if he trains hard here for 30 years, he should be able to replicate his technique somewhat. Yonyo asks if he heard that right, and if it's really 30 years. They say yes, it's only 30. Yonyo tells him to wait, and he says that he doesn't think this shit is for him, and that he should double it up and give it to the next person. The orb, silent for a second, then starts screaming, asking what he means. Yonyo says he'd rather let this go than stay here for 30 years. The mad dog continues explaining the story, saying that that meeting is how the loser Yonyo actually came to become so strong. He starts to run away from the orb, and the orb tells him to wait. Yonyo turns, and we see an old man take form, saying to wait just 1 second. And then his name is Beck Mahan, which also means white infinity. Yonyo looks at Mahan for a second and says that he knew he was a scammer. The old man is surprised, asking what he means by that. Yonyo says he pretended to be one thing, and when that didn't work, he revealed his true self. Mahan says that he wasn't pretending, he is actually a spirit who has left his body. Yonyo asks if he's really meant to believe that, before screaming and punching straight through his head. As we see his entire arm start to go through him, he falls forward through the old man, who asks what he's doing. Yonyo starts freaking out since he's really a ghost. Mahan says he's not a ghost. This is the spirit transmission arts, something only martial artists at a very high level can use. Yonyo says that they call people like him ghosts, and he says that he's not one, and starts screaming. Back to the present with the story being told, the mad dog says that was how Yonyo met his master. The historian asks if something like that really exists, and he says that it's a technique only martial artists of the highest level can attain. She asks who one martial artist is that can use the ability, and he asks if she knows the Sword Emperor. She says that is a given, he's the strongest person in history, and the greatest in the Thousand Sword Beck clan, who will be remembered forever. The mad dog says exactly, he's talking about Beck Mahan, the Radiant Sword. The man who was later called Sword Emperor is the Radiant Sovereign's master. She's surprised, saying that he lived 300 years ago. The mad dog says that's right, and he's from an already forgotten generation. Regardless, it's true that he made Yonyo. She says that's incredible, and if that means the Radiant Martial Sovereign requested to be his disciple right after hearing his name. He laughs, saying that Yonyo was actually the opposite. The Sword Emperor, who figured none of his descendants looked for him for 300 years, needed a disciple at all cost and begged that Yonyo do it. Yonyo asks why he's throwing a tantrum, as he's not even from the Beck clan, and he really can't learn from him, so he's gonna go. Mahan asks if he thinks he'd let him go so easily, as he stretches his hands out using his aura to close the cave off. Yonyo looks up, confused. Mahan asks what he thinks, as it's a super thick stone gate, and with his current abilities he'll never be able to lift or break it. But if he learns his martial arts, he'll be able to cut through it like a piece of paper and leave. Yonyo says there's no helping it, and starts reaching into his robe. Mahan says he won't be able to cut it with his abilities. Yonyo starts hacking away at the hole, and the old man is confused, asking him what he's doing. Yonyo says surely he can tell that he's digging a hole. No matter how strong it is, it's still stone, which means it'll slowly break down if he grinds it with metal, and he'll break through in a year or two. Mahan asks if he really plans to do this for that long. Yonyo says that's nothing when he's trying to get him stuck in here for 30. Mahan calls him a madman, saying that he can't even beat him to death, and tells him to just try learning, as he won't disappoint him. But Yonyo says he doesn't like him. Mahan continues, saying that he'll allow him to leave after 20. Yonyo says 20 is too long, and he'd only consider it if he said 3. Mahan starts to get pissed, saying that that's a joke, and there's no way he'd learn it in 3 years. Even if Zhang Sanfeng came back to life, he wouldn't be able to do that. Yonyo says he guesses that means they're not meant to be, and gets back to digging at the wall, making him furious. Mahan says 5 years, causing Yonyo to stop. He says if he gives him 5 years, he'll do whatever it takes to make him the strongest in the world in 5 years. With that being Yonyo's dream, he starts thinking about it as a tempting offer. Yonyo says he's never even heard of a spirit as vivid as him, and maybe the technique just isn't told by word of mouth. And he might be telling half the truth, and he might actually have been the strongest in the world at some point, and that he'll use this opportunity since 5 years isn't that long, and he agrees, saying that he'll do it. Continues, saying of course Yonyo didn't know that he was the Sword Emperor at the time. The Sword Emperor is quite unfortunate as well, since the person he met at the end of his life just happened to be none other than Yonyo. Mahan tells him to wake up already, calling him a bastard. And when Yonyo does, he wonders why he's waking him up, saying that he's so tired, asking if he doesn't need sleep. But says that it's only because he's dead, and he's a human, and that humans need to sleep. Mahan held back all of his frustration, and says that they can start training now, after all the disciple he had finally received at the end of his life was nothing but a lazy bastard. Yonyo asks if he's really meant to train as soon as he woke up. It turns out that all he would do is sleep all day and practice the moves once during training. Mahan tries telling him that it's going to take 50 years at this rate, not 5. Yonyo asks if there's an easier way to learn, and Mahan says this is as easy as it gets. Yonyo says if he didn't speak at the very least, it would be less annoying, and that this is why he needs to meet a talented master. These words echoed throughout Mahan's head, but he still held back his anger, and if he had an actual body he would have suffered key deviation and collapse from anger. He says he can't believe he wanted nothing but success and to pass down his martial arts, leaving his spirit in this awful state, forcing him to endure this shit, and if he had a body, he would have beaten the hell out of this kid to teach him a lesson. Yonyo starts rolling around on the floor and asks Mahan how he did that. Mahan asks what he's talking about. Yonyo says dropping that stone gate, saying that can't he use that power to manipulate his body to teach him martial arts. He says that he just pulled a string on a device he had already made in advance. And Yonyo asks how, when he doesn't have a body. And Mahan says it's unrelated to that. He simply used psychic levitation to pull the string with ki alone. He then realizes what Yonyo is talking about, and starts laughing, wondering why he didn't think about this earlier. Yonyo wonders what's wrong with him, and if he's finally gone crazy. He says that he was too fixated on thinking that he doesn't have a body. Or maybe that's because they're incomplete parts, since he has been maintaining this spirit for 300 years. But, thanks to him, he learned something good. Yonyo asks what he's talking about, and when he hears, he feels something brush by his face and hears a loud-ass sound. He turns, wondering what that was just now, as we see a rock embedded into the wall beside him. And Mahan says thanks to him, he realized that even if he doesn't have a body, he can still move rocks whenever he wants. Yonyo, getting worried, Mahan says that this means that if he can move the rocks, he can do things like this, as he starts preparing to shotgun him. Yonyo screams, saying to wait, and calls him old man, but corrects himself, saying that he wants to talk to his master. And that day, Mahan and Yonyo's training continued day and night. He learned swordsmanship without rest during the day, as if he did try to rest, the old man would force him up, and they debated during the night. Whenever Yonyo slept, he trained using the unparalleled dream, mythic arts that Mahan taught him, and for him, living became living to become a sword of the radiant arts. And he is on his way to achieve that, as we see he actually stops his master's rocks of love. And his master looked proud. And that was how 5 years passed by in a flash. He got to the point when Yonyo could lift the gate by himself with pure strength, and when he returned, he looked up at the sky, and it was time for him to finally show the world who he had become. But before that, it jumps back to a whole day ago, and Yonyo was sleeping on the floor. Mahan calls out to him, and Yonyo asks for a little longer. Mahan calls out to him again, and Yonyo says that he was only gonna sleep for a bit longer, asking why he doesn't believe him. But then he's confused, as Mahan is in his physical form, telling him to come over here. Yonyo asks what's going on, and Mahan says he's learned martial arts for his entire life, and his hope was to see the end of it. So he didn't bother with anything but martial arts, and at the end of solely chasing them, he became a crabby old man who was treated distantly by his clan. Yonyo wonders what's up with him today, since that's very unlike him. Mahan says that when he thinks about it, it was obvious why his clan didn't come looking for him. He, after all, abandoned his children and family all for the sake of martial arts. He thought seeing the end of martial arts would give him everything he wanted, but in the end, he was wrong. Chasing that dream only allowed him to realize what he truly wanted. Martial arts is what humans do, so not walking with people to see the end of swordsmanship is meaningless, and that Yonyo helped him realize that. He taught someone for the first time. He was angry, and annoyed, and he was really frustrated, but he also felt happiness, and learned joy from seeing him grow, and he learned about fondness as well. Yonyo asks what's up with him, as he's acting as if they'll never see each other again. Mahan says that they won't, because it's time. Yonyo's surprised, asking if he's really thinking he's gonna fall for this, as he said he should train for 30 years, and it's only been 5. So he has to exist for 25 more years. Mahan says that he did say that, and Yonyo asks what's the deal then. The internal chi that he gave to him in the form of an elixir was so that he could live without eating in here. That's not something as easy to maintain as he thinks, and he has no more power left, so it's time for him to say goodbye. Yonyo asks why he never told him. If he had, he would have left, found food, and come back to train. Mahan says he's sure he would have come back in his sarcastic tone, and he understands how he feels. He then gets up, saying that he enjoyed the time they shared. And he wanted to watch him travel, and sightsee the world, but this is fine too. And he gives him a very endearing look in his eyes. He can already see Yonyo crisscrossing through the world, flipping it on its head. He tells him to go see the world, and keep it within him, and other things will naturally follow. And that he should see people before he sees the world. While looking up, he didn't see what was at his feet, and he shouldn't make the same mistakes he did. And if no one else knows about his existence, his movements, and his swordsmanship, Mahan will be within them, as they are all residing within Yonyo. He says that even if he's not outstanding or great, that's fine with him. Yonyo tells him that he can't leave, as there is so much he still hasn't learned, and it's not okay for him not to. That he should wait at least a day longer. Mahan fades out into a blue mist, saying that he should just be happy in the end. Yonyo tries to grab out towards him, but realizes it's too late. He stands there in silence for a second, and starts bawling his eyes out, saying that he could have told him earlier. Now back to the present. Yonyo is pissed, saying that this is why he left without telling him in advance. As we see, he ruined Yonyo's clothing by writing on it. Yonyo says that he should have just left nicely, and he wonders why the hell he would do this. Before disappearing, Mahan wrote a message on Yonyo's clothes. To summarize, Yonyo's martial arts that he learned as quickly as possible in 5 years was still incomplete. Since he wouldn't train once Mahan disappeared, he put a sort of feature on Yonyo's body. That being, that his inner elixir that he had swallowed would cause his martial arts to improve, and you might see it as automatically getting stronger, but it's not exactly that. If the martial arts that Yonyo is experiencing and obtaining is slower than the speed of the elixir, his inner energy would be sucked in by Mahan, and he would explode and die. To summarize, he'll die if he's lazy. He knew that damned old man was up to no good. Mahan tells him to travel the world and see things. When he sees the world, he'll learn to feel things. When he feels things, he'll learn things. He shouldn't be satisfied with becoming a small person, or staying in a small place. He needs to see big things, and become a big person. Yonyo clicks his tongue, saying that he's one hell of a guy. He continues, saying that the first place he must go is to Rulin, and find the world's greatest scholar, and stay with him. And that he'll definitely feel something after being there. Yonyo just wonders why the hell he's making him literally go across the entire world. He was going to go home, but he'll go back after resolving everything, so his family shouldn't worry, and he's sure his brother is okay. He looks around, saying that he has to do what he must. Right before he leaves, he bows down to the cave that he met Mahan in. He says that he won't be back, so he should just be aware of that. He can't believe he's bothering him until the end. But he wonders where the hell Rulin is, and how to get there. In the cave, we see Mahan's form taking place once more, and he starts laughing like an absolute demon, saying that if he doesn't learn about the world, he'll dry up like a mummy and die. He wonders what kind of martial arts exist in the world like that, and he can't let him just live in some random place in the middle of nowhere. The world is too broad to let him do that, and it's a waste of his martial arts, calling him a bastard. This is where he actually starts fading out for real, and he says that he was happy thanks to Yonyo, and that he too hopes that he'll be happy as well. Yonyo can smell the change in the wind, and thinks about his master once more. And with that, time has passed, and he is now inside of a place called Kaifeng. His clothes are absolutely disgusting, so are his little dogs. I wish I could clean them off with my tongue. Yonyo is low-key kind of a corpse, and asks if this is Kaifeng. We see the guy he's talking to, sitting on a log, wondering who he is, saying yes, and this is the branch leader of the beggar sect, named Jang Il. Kind of looks like the mad dog. Yonyo says he had came because he had something to ask. Jang Il asks if he has money, and Yonyo asks if he really has to pay. Jang Il says of course, since nothing in this world is free. He takes a good look at Yonyo, saying that his voice sounds like he's barely 20, but his face looks like he's well over 50, and he's never seen such a beggar amongst all of the beggars he's seen, and seems more like a ghost. He wants to do it for free, since it seems they're in the same sect, but there are still rules here. Yonyo asks what he means by the same sect, and Jang Il says he can tell they are. Yonyo asks how the hell he looks like a beggar, and starts slapping his chest, and Jang Il says he's obviously one, and if he has no money, he can't give him info, so he should leave, and he should come with some money after doing some begging. Yonyo asks why he would do that, when he's not a beggar though. Jang Il says it's only natural that he would go beg, and he looks like he could make money just by putting a basket in front of where he sits, wondering why he's wasting his talents. Realizing this is a good chance, he asks if he would like to work together. It then jumps to Yonyo, looking at a whole bunch of money below him, and Jang Il is shaking, and starts freaking out, saying he can't believe he earned half a year of operating costs for this branch in half a day, and that the god of wealth has come to visit them. Jang Il asks what he wants to know, and Yonyo wants a list of locations, hobbies, and specialties of famous scholars, and for blacksmiths. He continues with list after list, and Jang Il says he did promise him, so he can tell him, but he should come back in 7 days. Yonyo says he has nowhere to go, so he'll just stay right here. Jang Il says that's fine with him, and a few days later, Jang Il came to regret those words. One of the members of the sect told him that there was trouble. Yonyo asks what trouble there could be for the beggars, and the guy says that he thinks that they're all going to starve to death. Jang Il asks what he's talking about. The guy tells Jang Il to hurry up and look at this, and he's absolutely surprised. As the merchants are pointing over, saying that if they are beggars, they need to at least be on that level, as they are just raining money all over Yonyo, saying that the pitiful bastard needs to eat. Jang Il was just surprised, because it turned out that Yonyo has completely taken over the beggar world already. A little later, we see Yonyo yawning, saying that he's thirsty. Jang Il tells the men to bring him water, and Yonyo says the bowl is dirty. Jang Il starts slapping the piss out of the guy, saying that he needs to bring a new bowl, calling him a stupid beggar. That's some friendly fire. Yonyo also complains that the water is lukewarm, and Jang Il tells them to go get some cold water from the mountains. Yonyo lays there, saying that this sure is nice, but Jang Il is pissed, saying that he is a branch leader of the beggar sect, and having to act as a servant for this stupid beggar is infuriating. But if he kicks him out, his guys will starve, and he wonders when the information that he requested is going to get here. He starts massaging Yonyo's back, but says they're low-key all going to end up dead at this rate. Some men start yelling, saying that they finally have the info, and Jang Il gets excited, saying finally. And he starts digging into Yonyo's back for their massage. Yonyo's reading through the info and asks if this is really all of it. Jang Il asks what he means, and Yonyo asks if they really wanted to sell him something like this. Jang Il asks for the info and starts reading it, and is just confused, wondering if they're really trying to kill them all. This is only half of what he requested, and this is bad, so he needs to do something. Yonyo wonders if it's because he didn't pay enough, but Jang Il says to wait before he acts, and he starts pushing Yonyo to the street, saying they can't have him begging anymore, and he needs to go this way, as he'll give him some new information. They're inside of a fancy place, standing before a woman who says it's rare to see him here, calling him Fox Dog. This is the house sect branch leader of Kai Feng, named Gui Nang Nang. Jang Il greets her, and Yonyo starts asking what she means by Fox Dog, and asks if that's really his title, saying he's a little bitch. Jang Il gets annoyed and goes to speak up, but every single time he does, Yonyo just calls him a bitch over and over. Nang Nang says that this is surprising, and she can't believe that the branch leader of the Kai Feng is coming to the house sect for information, and that she's sure that he's aware they're rivals. He says that he's not asking for the beggar sect, he's brought a customer here, and Yonyo just keeps calling him a bitch over and over. She asks if he's kidding right now or not, and if it's really not the beggar sect asking, when the client itself is a beggar, and if he's trying to insult her. Or if this is some joke, as they don't have information to sell to beggars. Yonyo says that he's not from the beggar sect though. Nang Nang says that she has no choice but to take action if he keeps insulting them, and that he needs to be aware they have pride. Yonyo wonders if she didn't hear, saying that he thought the house sect is an intelligence organization, but she doesn't even know if he's from the beggar sect or not. And he can't believe she's living off of selling information when she doesn't even know something so simple, when their basics are so bad. She gets pissed and gets rage baited, and calls out for someone named Gongmyo. They say yes ma'am, and she asks Gongmyo who Yonyo is. They say that they don't know about him, but he is definitely not from the beggar sect. She gets frustrated, and Yonyo says that surely she can sell information now, but she says no, and she doesn't want to, and he can get out. Yonyo laughs, saying that she definitely doesn't have a business mindset, as he's offering to pay her, yet she is still refusing, and he guesses it's not long until the house sect is done for. She tells him that he better watch that mouth of his unless he wants to see his limbs cut off. He tells her that he's not wrong, and he calls her old lady, which sends her over the edge. She asks if he's insulting them right now, and he wonders why she's so mad. She calls out for Gongmyo, saying to teach this bastard a lesson. Gongmyo says yes ma'am as he starts dashing from the ceiling, instantly off the stairs towards Yonyo. As he starts going to attack him, Jang Il tries to stop it, saying no, but Yonyo puts his hand on his face, telling him to move before slamming the dude straight into the floor like Luffy did to Bellamy in One Piece. Nang Nang is speechless, and even Jang Il is. Yonyo sighs, and they can't believe that he was a martial master. Yonyo apologizes, saying that it's just his instinct to counterattack if someone tries to hit him. It would have gone much easier if he had told him he was going to attack. Jang Il says he thought he did learn martial arts, but he didn't expect him to be this strong, and he's basically a monster. Yonyo says this is all that old man's fault. Nang Nang, realizing that she made a mistake, says that she didn't know he was such a prestigious customer. He wonders what she's talking about, as he's been telling her from the start he's not from the beggar sect. She says in any case, and glances toward Jang Il, saying that it doesn't seem like he's here with good intentions. He says that she probably won't believe him, but he really is not here to fight. There was just information that their sect could not obtain, so he came here to ask for help. She asks if he's serious, and he says yes, as Yonyo is dragging Gongmyo's corpse. She says that this is akin to bringing a tiger over to a rabbit's den and asking for some fur. She says that she knows it's hard to believe, but to be serious. She says that she'll believe him, and he thanks her. But she says giving him info is a separate matter. It's true that his client hurt her person, so they're going to need compensation. Yonyo asks what she's talking about, and she says that there's a simple rule in the unorthodox world. Blood for blood, a life for a life. She summons her guards called the Four Shadows, who appear out of literally nowhere and start aura farming. Yonyo says everyone has a fancy way of making an appearance in this place, and she says that she doesn't know what his purpose in being here is, but since he has hurt one of them, he will not be able to leave unharmed. Yonyo asks if it's really that hard to understand. It was just a mistake, and he hit him lightly because he tried to hit him first. She gets pissed, saying that she can't believe this skeleton-looking bastard is causing so much trouble. She continues with that whole unorthodox spiel about an eye for an eye or a tooth for a tooth, and Yonyo says that sounds like some loan shark bullshit. Jang Il tries to get him to stop. She says she's going to take some flesh from his face and be done with it. Yonyo says he's sorry to break it to her, but he doesn't really have any fat on his face since he hasn't been eating properly recently. She starts getting furious and tells her men to kill him, as all four of them leap off from where she's standing. Bro, put your tongue back up. As they get close, Yonyo says that he thought they were just going to carve out a bit of flesh from his face, but now they're trying to kill him. And seeing this guy licking his lips, he says that's a little too freaky for him. He instantly deals with all four of them without even really having to move at all, as he takes just a step forward, sending them all flying. She's absolutely surprised to the point that she develops a second shin, and Yonyo says that nobody should move, as he doesn't want to have to kill anyone today. Jang Il looks taken aback, but so does Nang Nang. She says that his aura is overwhelming. Yonyo says that his master told him that if someone is willing to attack once, they will be willing to attack 3 or even 4 times, so he should never allow that to happen. While he doesn't like that old man, he's never said anything wrong. Nang Nang realizes she messed with the wrong person, and he's not someone she can handle, and she needs to get it together, because if she messes up here, the entire branch of the Hao sect might just meet its downfall. She asks him what it is that he wants, and he says information. She says yes, but asks what specifically he wants. Jang Il says that he has the papers, and he hopes that she can fill out the empty spots. She starts reading it, asking if they really brought a monster like him to the Hao sect just because they couldn't resolve such a simple matter. She says it's nothing difficult, and she needs some time, asking if he can wait. He says yes, and she says that she'll be done in about 15 minutes. As for Jang Il, he needs to come see her now. He gets scared, then it jumps to Yonyo laughing as he's pointing forward. We see Jang Il got beat up, and Yonyo says his face is like a dumpling, asking if he really got his shit rocked like that. Jang Il tells him to shut up, and Yonyo says he guesses the Beggar sect is nothing, seeing as how he's getting beaten up by the Hao sect. Jang Il asks if that woman looks like a mere regular sect member, as she's the daughter of the Hao sect leader. She's a future leader of the sect, and she ate miracle medicine like meals and had all kinds of good things. So how could he be a match for her? She appears directly behind him, and she tells him that she's brought the information. He thanks her, and she says that they do have their own rules, though. Yonyo asks what she's talking about, and Jang Il tells him that it's information fees. Yonyo now understands, asking how much. She says it's 5 nyong, and Yonyo says that it's cheap, handing it to her. Jang Il tells him that it's silver, though, and Yonyo asks why the hell it's so expensive. She says that it was pretty high security info, which is why it's pricey. Yonyo says oh well, and he starts leaving. Jang Il asks where he's going, and Yonyo asks where he thinks, as he has to go earn his 5 silver nyong. Jang Il says no, as he brought him here for a reason. Yonyo asks what he's meant to do then, and Jang Il tells him to wait a second, and he used up all of the money Yonyo had earned along with his hidden stash to cough up the 5 silver nyong. But he didn't have, he borrowed with an IOU. His heart aches, but they actually managed to pay it off. Jang Il calls him evil, saying he had to use up all of his hidden savings. Yonyo says this is definitely really thorough information. It's a whole other league compared to the information that the beggars bring in, and he guesses that they really are on different levels. He also wants to send a letter to Guangdong, asking if it will be expensive. She says it will be more expensive than an escort agency, but she'll do it in exchange for him answering some of her questions. She asks for his name, and he tells her. She asks for his age, and he tells her that he's 17. Jang Il can't believe that he's younger than him. Nang Nang says that his martial prowess is definitely not that of a 17-year-old. She starts saying his name over and over in her head, and then realizes it, asking him if he is Guangdong's Y Yonyo, the second son of the Y clan. Yonyo asks if she knows him, and she says that of course, the Y clan requested them to find him. Jang Il asks Yonyo if he is Sanho's younger brother. Yonyo asks if he knows his brother, and he says of course, as he's his friend. Nang Nang asks if he's going to send a letter to the Y clan, as it'll take at least 10 days. He says it's alright, they've waited 5 years, so 10 more days won't hurt. She hands him a cloth, saying that this will mark him as a special guest of their sect. If he ties it where he wants, an informant of the sect will come find him. Yonyo asks if it's free, and she says no, but she can't believe that someone so skilled that can take down the 4 swords at 17 exists, because there's nobody else like him in the Central Plains. So creating a connection with him will be great. Yonyo says it's pointless if he has to pay for it, and she says that she'll give him information for free next time. He asks if that's really the case, and she says it's specially for him, as she doesn't want to lose him as a customer because of what happened earlier. Yonyo says nothing really happened, though, and Jang Il says that his face is like a dumpling and he has been rendered completely broke. Yonyo says that happens often for a loser, and Jang Il yells at him. As they leave the sect, Jang Il says that all of his money is gone. Yonyo tells him that money comes and goes, and besides, a beggar shouldn't be greedy like that, and he should tap into his roots. Jang Il wants to beat him up, but knows that he can't. He asks if he's got all the information he wanted, saying that if that's the case, they shouldn't see each other anymore. Yonyo tells him to wait as there's a problem, and Jang Il asks what it is. Yonyo says that he doesn't have any money, and he looks super happy about it. Jang Il, though, is just pissed that he has to deal with him longer, and yells, shit. We see up on top of the Hao sect, Nang Nang is watching, and she is heavily processing, and she is really thinking about it. She calls out to Gongmya, saying that they need to send a letter to the sect, telling them that the second son of the Y clan who went missing has now come back as a martial master. We see inside of the Great Hanlim Institute, a man is sitting there holding his teacup, and he says it sure is nice today. He is the third grand scholar named Moon, Yuan. His daughter calls out to him, saying that there's a guest for him. This is his daughter named Moon, Yoonji. Yuan says that he doesn't have anything on schedule today, and Yoonji says that they wanted to play a game of Go with him. Yuan instantly gets excited, asking if she really means it. Yoonji guides the guest over, and we see it's none other than Yeonyo, and he says that he hopes he's not intruding. Yuan says of course not. It is an indulgence to have guests over, and he heard that he wanted to play with him. Yeonyo says that's the only kind of thing he knows how to play. Yuan says that they'll give it a go then, and that he'll play the white so he can go first. Yeonyo says that he will begin, and he starts taking out his pieces. Yuan says that he shouldn't expect much from him. He looks like he's here to get a free meal, so he'll just help him out after a game or so. But with pure confidence and precision, Yeonyo takes out the piece and slams it exactly where he wants on the board. Yuan looks a little surprised and says that he guesses he's not a beginner, and that's nice to see. They continue. Then Yuan says that he's actually pretty fast with his moves. It's rare to see someone his age so experienced. They continue, and every single time he makes a move, Yeonyo counters in an instant. Yuan looks more wary as time goes on, and shakily he lifts up his piece. Bro got them Enderman fingers. He asks what the hell is going on here, as he isn't just being fast, as he's a war demon. Yeonyo asks him if he's going to make his move or not. Yuan looks down at the board and says that this is absolutely amazing, and that if he were to compare Yeonyo's play style to something, it would be like that of angry ocean waves. He's like a person crazed for battles, attacking boldly even when a fight is not necessary. If he sees even a slight opening, he charges like a starving demon and chomps down. He is most definitely the epitome of a war demon. Yuan says that was a good game, and that he has quite a unique play style. Yeonyo thanks him, saying it's because of all the bullying he endured from his master. Yuan asks about his master, and Yeonyo says that he was a very strict old man. If it's not too much to ask, he would love to stay over for a bit, as his master told him to stay in the area for a while. Yuan says that he must be following his teachings pretty strictly, and that he'll of course help. He'll prepare a room for him, and he can stay as long as he would like. He tells his daughter Yoonji to prepare the room, and guide him to the bath as well as give him some clothes. Yeonyo then warns him that he doesn't have any money. Yuan laughs, saying that he wouldn't expect payment from a guest like him. He was actually going to ask him to stay here if he had not asked. In return, he wants to play Go with him or a guest sometimes. Yeonyo says that he can definitely do that, and bows, thanking him for his courtesy. Yoonji says to follow her, and Yeonyo heads to the bath and starts relaxing, saying how nice this is. He hated baths when he was younger, maybe because the water is nice, but he feels like his skin is getting clearer. He says that he's almost going to cry from how nice this is, and it's all that damn old man's fault. Outside the bath, Yoonji is clearly annoyed, and she says that she doesn't get it at all, wondering why her father accepted someone like him as a guest. Yeonyo exits the bath with his hair covering his face, scaring her. She starts screaming, and he asks what's wrong. She says that she thought he was a ghost, telling him to cover up. He grabs the towel, and we see her heart start to throb as she gets a good look at Yeonyo's face, seeing that he's not what she thought he was before. He asks her if this is good enough, and she drops the towels out of sheer shock, asking him who the hell he is. A few days later, we hear her yelling at her father, telling him to say something to that person. He asks who, and she says the new guy. He doesn't leave his room at all. He sleeps all day. If he's not eating, that's all he does is sleep. Yuan smiles, saying that he actually forgot to ask his name. He says that he said that sloth is a sin, and that one should always keep himself busy, so why isn't he saying anything about him being lazy, as he might be a guest but he is ruining the atmosphere. He tells his daughter that he likes Go, and you can learn a lot about your opponent when playing. You can hide your facial expressions and watch your words, but you cannot hide yourself when playing the game. A person who is impatient cannot play patiently, and those who are the opposite cannot learn to enjoy battle. He can tell how someone has lived their life along with their personality when you play Go with them. His play style is rushed and rough, but he's never seen one like this. He's definitely not a lazy person. He assumes that he's lived a very rough life. If the sun shines down brightly, the shadows it casts will be just as dark. If he is being lazy, he's sure it just means that his life until now has been hard. One should not chase away a bird that has come under the roof to avoid the rain. She should not question the bird as to why it's not flying through the rain, and just let him rest. She sighs, saying okay, but she's actually hella annoyed. As she's sitting there, seeing him be the lazy slob he is, she says that her father's being deceived. There's no way this lazy ass is like her father described, and she's gonna get him kicked out. She stands over him, telling him to get up, and he rolls over asking why. She tells him to get up since the sun is already out. He says to let him know when the sun sets then, and she asks what's wrong with him. Everyone else is studying here, and he's doing nothing but sleeping for like a whole week. He says they're studying because they want to study. He's sleeping because he wants to sleep, so what's the problem? She tells him to shut up. She can't just stand watching him roll around here without even taking a bath. Asking him if everything is washing his bed sheets. He needs to at least do something to pay for the food, and that he may not know it, but they're not that well off. They can feed people who study, but they don't have enough to just feed someone who lazes around. He tells her that her father said it was okay, and she says that she's the one in charge of the money. She looks really serious about this. He asks what he should do then, and she tells him to do the laundry. As we see all the dirty clothes piled around him. He asks if this is all of it, and she says it's not much. He wonders if it will cover his food, and she says that it will. He says that with this amount of work he would assume they're putting gold flakes in his rice, telling him to make sure it's clean, and she's not going to be the one to rewash it if it's not. She laughs, saying he deserves this, and he will definitely not be able to finish this all by today. 2 hours later she comes back outside, and is completely taken aback, as every single piece of clothing is now completely clean and set out to dry. She asks how the hell he did this, if everything was always this white. How exactly he managed to pull this off. She says that she can't let him just laze around again, and that she'll get him to do more. She then takes him to a bunch of logs that he's chopping, and he asks if she really means all of this. She says that she'll give him a week, asking if he can do it, saying that she bets he'll run away after a day. She comes back a couple hours later, and it's all done, as he's laying atop, and she says that it should have taken people 10 days to do it. The same thing happened with the dishes, even the gardening. She asks how the hell he's so capable. And that is how his life in the area began. We see the mad dog saying that it was a mistake to take him in. I'm very certain that this is Jang Il. He says that they never should have taken Yonyo into his home. The historian asks why. The mad dog says because that guy brings disaster wherever he goes. It may not be intended, but wherever he goes, trouble follows. It was the same with this area. A scholar hall that had been so quiet and peaceful was swept over with chaos once he showed up. The historian very curiously asks what happened, and the mad dog says that it all began with one simple thing, and it was go. We see Yonyo sighing, asking how he has come to this, as he thought it would just be occasional. We see tons of scholars arriving to come get a peek at his play style. Yonyo says that bringing people here to play with him is cheating. It's none other than Yuan's fault, because he wrote a letter telling everybody to come check it out, saying that his play style is so unique. We see that Yonyo's playing. Scholar after scholar. People understood now that a master of Go has finally showed up. Yonyo sighs, asking who's next. We see one of the men he's fighting, very confused by Yonyo's move, asking why he would do that, because it's basically suicide. He asks if it's a mistake, saying there's no way, maybe if he were a regular civilian, but his opponent is the undefeated genius of Han Lim. Then he must have some kind of plan in mind, and it's gotta be a trap that he must avoid, and he's sure that he was plotting something. As he sees Yonyo shaking, he misunderstands, saying that he's glad he avoided it. Yonyo though is just pissed, asking why the hell he would back off there when he was giving him a free opening. He says he did that so he can lose, as he'll be playing Go forever if he doesn't. He really hoped that he'd fall for it as he will lose in 10 moves, so to take the bait. The scholar puts his hands together, saying that he loses, and Yonyo cries, saying for fuck's sake he wants to just leave already. He mopes back to his room, saying he kept making suicidal moves so that he could lose, but they never tried taking his pieces, and they were just scared. He says that this raid is gonna have more people coming to play, and he'd rather go do the laundry because his back hurts. He hears Yunji yelling, saying that she already said she didn't want to. He turns the corner, seeing an absolute ugly bastard asking if she really doesn't want to marry him. His name is Nook. Yunji says absolutely not. Mukpung says she'll regret it, and she says that she won't. Mukpung says that she better think it through again, as he's always got what he's wanting, and he'll never let go of something he wants, and he's just offering right now, but if she keeps refusing it won't be an offer next time. Asking if it's okay for her family's great institute to fall just because of her, she tells him to do as he wishes, as the institute won't fall as easy as he thinks. He says sure, but he can make that happen, and she definitely knows that as well. She starts to feel frustrated and yells, saying she hates this about him, asking if he thinks that everything will work out in his favor just because he wants it to. And she tells him that she does not plan to marry him, and that it isn't possible, and she goes to walk away, saying goodbye. He grabs onto her wrist, and we see it's with way too much force, as it starts hurting her. She screams, telling him to let go, and he says it's in her best interest not to anger him, asking if she thinks she can act so bold, even if he tries to take her right here and now. She starts to be fearful, and Yonyo says that's not something he should be saying in someone else's house. She turns, seeing him staring at Mukpung. In that moment of distraction, she breaks free and runs over to Yonyo, asking if he's already finished doing the laundry and firewood. He says that he's been playing Go until now, asking what she's talking about. He sees her hands shaking, saying that he wants to borrow this. He grabs the ribbon off of her hair, and starts to use it to tie us up. He then looks towards Mukpung, and Mukpung says that it's rude to listen to other people's conversations. Yonyo says that he really doesn't know his manners. That being said, he doesn't think that Mukpung should be the one to tell him what's rude or not, and that people who care about manners usually don't act like him. Mukpung says he must be the genius of Han Lim, and Yonyo thanks him for recognizing him, saying that he has no idea who his fat ass is. He goes to tell him, and Yonyo says he actually doesn't really care, and this annoys him. Mukpung says that he should have just considered playing Go instead of getting in his way, and Yonyo says it's a shame, as he's really good at that. Just like right now, Mukpung starts to get furious, and then people start seeing Yonyo, asking if they can play with him tomorrow, and Yonyo says sure. Mukpung clicks his tongue, annoyed, but says that he'll take his leave, but tells Yonyo not to forget. If she doesn't come running into his arms in 3 days, he's going to do things his way. As he leaves, Yonyo just wonders what his deal is, and asks her who it is. She says that his name is Mukpung, and he is the adopted son of the imperial palace attendant who wields a ton of power. Yonyo asks what he was saying to her, and she says that he wants her to marry him, and she says no every single time, and it's so annoying. Yonyo asks what's wrong with him, and he's from a good family, and he's determined. She asks if he wants to die, and she says he's not trying to marry her because he likes her, he just wants to use her. He may not know, but her father has a really good network here. People say that he's a perfect candidate to be a politician too, and the reason he lives this type of lifestyle, despite all of that, isn't just because he has no interest in civil service. Yonyo says it must be because of Go, and she says no, it's because the eunuchs of the imperial palace are very wary of her father. Yonyo asks why those nutless dudes are so wary of him, as this is just an institute. She says that's not all it is. The Great Han Lim Institute is different from the others. They're not affiliated with any organization, so getting to this point was difficult, but, thanks to that, they have been able to form many deep connections with other groups. The reason the eunuchs are in power, despite being corrupt and useless, is because the forces of the area have not unified to drive them out. However, if her father were able to control them, Yonyo says he gets it, that means the eunuchs would be in danger. She says exactly, that's why Mukpung's father is desperate to stop her father from taking on civil service. Recently, he has found a new way, a way to not have to fear the area uniting while also gaining a close connection to a powerful figure, and that is for the two of them to get forced into a marriage. We see Mukpung apologizing to his father, saying that an individual called the genius of Han Lim appeared, and it might be hard to continue with the plan. His father asks why that matters, as he's just a useless good-for-nothing who plays Go all day. His father is the head of the eunuchs, called Gi. Mukpung says he's not the problem, rather there are people from all over the nation coming to play against him. There are too many eyes watching, and his actions are limited because of it, so it might be bad if he were to try to do something and missed all of that. Gi says he sees why he's hesitant, and he apologizes. However, this mission is not just for his sake. Mukpung realizes the gravity of the situation, and Gi says taking over the imperial palace is a mission given by the one and only. Failing this mission is not an option for both of them, and that he's more afraid to disappoint him than he is of death, asking his son if he understands. Mukpung says he's well aware, and Gi says sometimes violence is necessary. Mukpung asks if this is his permission, and Gi tells him to use the crowd to his advantage and kill every last one of them, including the genius of Han Lim. Back outside of the institute, we see a man asking Yuwen if he's still not interested in a government position. This is the royal head inspector and the emperor's brother named Li Wangya. Yuwen apologizes, and Wangya says that he needs him to see that he needs to be at the center maintaining balance to stop Gi. Yuwen doesn't say anything, and Wangya takes a deep breath, saying that he needs to see this and that their movements have been very suspicious lately. There is instability in the military, as well as these scholar officials, and Gi is getting into all of their heads. But still, Yuwen has his reasons, and Wang Ye says that he assumes he wants to ask why a man who cannot even have children would want to start a revolution. Yuwen says yes, and Wang Ye says that this is the time he should learn that there is another master that Ge is serving. The terror of the political fight between the eunuchs is beyond their imagination. Ge managed to get past all of them despite having absolutely no foundation, saying surely he finds that strange. Those who crossed him lost their lives in accidents, and those who did not, suddenly died of diseases. It's as if someone was paving the path for him. Yuwen says that might be a coincidence, and Wang Ye says he thought the same until recently. After watching him, he got the thought that perhaps someone is helping him from behind, is exactly why he needs him, as they need to unite as one against him. Yuwen says he'll think about it a little more, and Wang Ye clears his throat, asking what kind of person is this new genius who he's taken in. Yuwen is glad that he asked, and he starts talking about how amazing he is. He says that he feels like he's hiding his true potential. Wang Ye says that he's curious about him, asking when they can meet. He says that Yunji should have gone to pick him up, and on cue, he hears her. He tells her to enter, and we see Yonyo dripping water all over the floor, asking if he's called for him. Wang Ye just wonders if this is truly him. Yuwen says that he's sorry that he called for him too early, asking if he slept well. Yonyo says yeah, and if only someone didn't pour cold water on his face while he was sleeping. Wang Ye laughs, saying that he's glad that he did sleep well, saying that he wants to introduce him. Wang Ye doesn't want to tell him exactly who he is, saying that he's just an old passerby. Yonyo says that sounds like there's a grand reason behind his visit, asking what it is. Wang Ye asks what other business he could have, as he just wants to play Go. Yonyo says that he can't, though. Wang Ye asks why, and Yonyo says that he refuses. Wang Ye says he's been playing Go with all the people who come by, though. Yonyo says that he's not saying that he won't play it. He's saying that there are proper order to things. There are people who got here before him, so he should wait his turn. Wang Ye laughs, saying that he can resolve that, and he'll ask the others to be understanding. Yonyo says that's not really resolving things, and that's just coercion. Wang Ye is surprised, and Yuwen looks proud. Yonyo says that he seems like he's got a pretty high social status, and he's sure everyone would be forced into going along with whatever choice he makes rather than agreeing because they are understanding, and that he values promises and rules. Wang Ye says he's far more firm in his beliefs than he expected, and this is difficult. He asks if he can do something about it, and Yonyo says that he just has to wait his turn. Wang Ye now realizes that he doesn't know what to do, and Yunji steps in, saying that she thinks she can resolve this. Yuwen asks if she's certain, and she says yes. She says there's no way he values rules and promises because that's just a lie. She tells Yonyo that if he plays this game, she'll cancel it. He asks what she means, and she says that all the other games that he's supposed to play today, she'll cancel every one of them. He asks if she's certain, saying it's tempting, but he has morals, but if she cancels tomorrow he might consider it. She says that he shouldn't try bargaining for more, and if he wants to rest today, this is his only chance. There is no room for negotiation. Yonyo instantly sits down, saying that he's ready to begin. Wang Ye looks over at Yuwen, wondering what that was about, and says that this is the worst, as he's not a man of his word after all, and that he would like to just leave, but he better see this through. He makes the first move, saying that he wants to see what he's like. And it cuts all the way to night, as we see Wang Ye just staring at the board. Yuwen asks if he did enjoy playing the game with him, but Wang Ye's thinking about it. He's analyzing the board at a very high level, and he says that he has such a violent and quick playstyle, and you wouldn't even see such plays if you were to play a game of Go in the middle of a battlefield, and he wonders what kind of life this kid has lived. However, he's not the right one. The laziness and the violence, they aren't what he wants. He says that was a waste of his time. He doesn't understand why he values him so highly, and Yuwen says that it's because he saw. Wang Ye asks what he saw, and Yuwen says during one of his games against him he made a prophylactic move, and he thinks it's a very good one, and he thought the game was over, so he took his eyes off of it, but what he saw was the face of a man who had fallen deeply. As his eyes started to shift as if he was floating around the cosmos, he could tell that he was into a rare trance. Wang Ye stops walking, asking if he's sure he saw it correctly, and Yuwen tells him that he's very certain. Wang Ye laughs at him, saying that he doesn't intend on taking him either way. Yuwen asks if that's so, and Wang Ye says he wasted his time, but he got to see him, so he guesses it wasn't actually a waste, and that he better get going early. Yuwen asks if he's that busy, and Wang Ye says that he told him that the atmosphere has been tense lately. Yuwen says he understands, and Wang Ye looks up at the moon, saying it's such a shame as this night is so perfect. Elsewhere at the institute, A gimp is telling Mukpung that the preparations are complete. Mukpung says perfect, as we see him and his gimp army ready to attack, and he says they need to get it done quickly, and they start leaping forward, flying over the walls, going after some of the workers. The work returns before we see blood being splattered. The door slowly opens as Mukpung enters, watching all of the people at the institute being slaughtered mercilessly. And there's nothing they can do. Mukpung says that this is why they should have listened to him while he was still being nice, and that they need to kill them all, and tonight the great institute of Hanlim will become a prison that not even a rat can escape, as Yonyo is still sound asleep. Mukpung says that today he will teach that bitch a lesson. We see her and her father tied up in the courtyard. Yuan yells, asking what the meaning of this is. And Mukpung says they received information that there has been suspicious activity in their institute. They've heard that all kinds of high authority people have been visiting recently. Yuan yells, asking how the hell that's suspicious at all. And Mukpung asked what reason could there be for people with both political and martial power to get together. The only possible answer is a revolution. Yuan says they're only here to play Go, and Mukpung asked if he really wants him to believe that this many people gathered solely for that purpose. Yuan tells him that he's serious, and he's sure that he's heard rumors about the genius. Mukpung says that he did hear the rumors, but rumors can be easily made up. And he looks around, asking where he is exactly. One of the gimps asks who he's looking for, and Mukpung says the genius that they're talking about. They say that there are no more people remaining in the building. Mukpung wonders if he ran off, saying that he must have left earlier as it would be impossible to run away after they got here, calling him lucky. He says that they'll all be freed if they're innocent, and that they will free and apologize if they find that there is no problem. One of the men comes over, saying that he found it. It's an agreement of the people who were planning to partake in the revolution. Yuan says they've never done such a thing to begin with, and Mukpung holds up a book, saying the proof is right in front of him. Yuan realizes that he came here from the beginning to frame them, and that they've been had. All of the servants yell, saying that it wasn't them, and they were innocent, and they didn't know that this was happening. Wangya stands up, saying that this sure is an interesting incident. Mukpung recognizes who he is, how much of a screw-up he has just committed. Wangya says that he should not be calling him by his name, but by his title. Everybody says that they're safe since the royal head inspector is here. Mukpung says he never would have done this if he knew he was here, and Wangya says that he's not one to hold grudges, so to free them all. Mukpung says before that he would like to ask a question, asking why he planned this revolution. Asking if he really thinks that he wouldn't know he was here. Wangya asks what he's talking about, and Mukpung's men force him back onto the ground, saying that there's always a central figure to a revolution. He doesn't assume it was just some scholar, and it would make the most sense that it's him, a family member of the emperor. Wangya says that his arrogance knows no bounds, asking how dare he frame him, asking if he can avoid the consequences of his actions, and he will not let him get away with this. Mukpung says he seems to be misunderstanding something. He won't be able to report to His Majesty about this, because he's never gonna see him again. The punishment for revolution is execution. They will all die here tonight, as they've gotten the signatures of the revolutionaries. His Majesty will just think that it's obvious what went down here. Wangya yells, saying the heavens won't forgive them, and Mukpung tells him to keep begging, and that there's someone who has to die first, and it's Yunji. He warned her, saying that he told her things would go his way. Thanks to her rejecting him, everyone's gonna end up dead. Asking if she really would like to reconsider changing her mind now. She spits in his face, saying that she'd rather die here than marry someone like him. He starts licking the spit off of his face. Holy shit, he needs to die now. And he starts grabbing her cheek, saying that he actually changed his mind. He won't kill her. He'll make it so that she thinks death will be a better outcome, and she can imagine the worst possible scenario. He will inflict pain upon her that is 100 times worse than whatever she can imagine. She says that she'll just bite off her own tongue, and she won't allow that to happen. He says that if she kills herself, her father will be the only one to suffer. If her father also kills himself, then the rest of the people will suffer instead. And don't think it will end here. All of their family members will be the ones to suffer instead. And that everybody else will pay for the sins of those here. He tells her to go ahead and kill herself, as he picks her up by her hair. He says he wouldn't mind having more people to entertain him anyways. Yuan yells for his daughter, and Mukpung says it's time for him to begin. Yunji begins shaking, as she's begging for somebody to save them, saying it doesn't matter who it is. When she looks back up after opening them, she can't believe what the hell she's witnessing, as Yonyo is trying to sneak out. He jumps onto the wall and starts leaving, and she yells out for him. He freezes up and starts laughing nervously, and she asks what he's doing. He says surely she could tell that he's booking it. She asks if he's kidding, and he says that he's excusing himself. She says that he should be helping, and he says he has a hard enough time to keep himself alive, and she said that he learned martial arts, so he can help. He says that she's overestimating his skill level. The best choice in the situation is to act like he didn't see it. He tells Mukpung to keep doing whatever he's doing. Wang Ya, Yuan, and Yunji all in unison think he's a piece of shit, but Mukpung yells, telling him to stop, saying he's involved in the revolution. The entire world will be after him, and he won't be safe anywhere. Yonyo says he can't be sure of that, and Mukpung says that the world may be big, but there are eyes everywhere, and it would not be difficult to find him. Yonyo says to look for him later then, and Mukpung gets pissed, telling his men to go after him. One of the gimps charges with his sword ready, and Yunji yells, telling Yonyo to get out of there. Yonyo watches the blade and laughs, saying that first she was telling him to help, and now she wants him to run, wondering what he's meant to do. He dodges the attack as the guy realizes he attacked only an afterimage. Yonyo then elbows him in the back of the head, sending him straight down into the wall, and he says that he really didn't want to do this. Yunji is stunned, and Yonyo says she sure is a strange woman, as we see the dude actually went all the way through the floor below the wall. Yunji and the rest just can't believe what they're witnessing, and Mukpung starts getting that crazy meat sweat, saying that he's not half bad. Yonyo thanks him for the compliment, and Mukpung says he should not have taken it as one, as he was talking to himself. Yonyo says that he was talking to himself too then. He then calls the first gimp, saying that he doesn't want to stand here any longer, asking how wonky he wants him to be humiliated for. Budget Wolverine says that he'll eliminate him right away, and Mukpung says that he can't kill him. The man asks why, and Mukpung says that he'll kill him himself. Wolverine starts walking towards Yonyo, and Yonyo tells him to wait. Wolverine asks why, and Yonyo says that he wants to use his sword, asking if he can wait a bit, as he thinks it's in his room. Wolverine calls him insane, and Yonyo says that he seems pretty old, saying that he can't even let someone way younger than him get his sword, and that sure is crazy. Wolverine tells him to shut up, and Yonyo says the world wasn't such a cruel place 5 years ago. He spots a broom, and picks it up. Wolverine gets annoyed, asking what he's doing, and Yonyo says that he'll have to make do somehow, since he won't let him go grab his blade, so he'll make do with this. Wolverine asks if he's insulting him, and Yonyo says that if he's mad about this, then let him go get his sword. Wolverine says that he's not gonna kill him, but he'll make him suffer so much that he'll wish he died instead, even if he's begging later on. Yonyo says that he's tired of all the yapping, saying that he should just get started, because he's getting sleepy. This makes Wolverine's blood boil, and he charges at him, calling him a bastard. Right as he gets close, he raises up his sword, thrusting down towards Yonyo's eye. We see the broom come in, shattering Wolverine's helmet, hitting him in the head, sending him flying backwards, in an instant. Wolverine asks what the hell that was, as he lays down on the floor. Mukpung begins getting even more meat sweats, and Wang Ya and Yuan are in disbelief. Yonyo says that nothing is better than a broom, when cleaning up garbage that is. Wolverine then wakes up after a bit, and wonders what the hell that was. Yonyo says that he should be glad that's the extent of what he's going to do, as he would already be dead if they were fighting his master, asking why he would run straight at his enemy like that. Wolverine starts to get pissed, and charges at him once more, and Yonyo starts beating him with the broom, saying that he's explaining right now. Wolverine says that he's way too fast, he can't even do anything about, and distances himself. He says that he doesn't want to admit it, but he has to, and it's hard to believe, but he's got the skills to back up his mouth. However, it's not always the strong that wins battles, as he's got a lethal poison on his blade called the 7-step soul-catching serpent, and he's going to teach him that. Yonyo asks if he's really going to play dirty enough to use poison, and Wolverine says that he can blame him all he wants. Yonyo says that's not going to work on him, and Wolverine asks if he's immune to all poisons or something. Yonyo says it's not like he boiled and ate a whole ginseng root, and of course he's not immune, and it's a little bit different than that. He starts thinking about it before he leaves his afterimage, moving instantly right into Wolverine's face. Wolverine realizes what he meant as Yonyo knocks the dagger out of his hands, he rears back the broom, and Wolverine says he needs to stop him. Yonyo says surely he wasn't thinking of something like, I need to stop him. And he starts rapid firing the broom, attacking all over. Wolverine can't do anything but get turned into an ugly-ass dummy, as he is forced to take hit after hit after hit. Eventually he starts bleeding from his nose and his mouth, and the spectators are in disbelief as he falls down onto the ground. It falls silent as nobody knows what to say, and Yonyo says this is why his master said that if you feel like your opponent is preparing something big, that he shouldn't wait and just beat them up instead. Mukpung says that he can't believe he defeated his man so easily, as his father spent decades of his own life perfecting Wolverine as the leader of Black Void. Yonyo says that it'll be convenient if they both just back off now. Mukpung claps his hands, and Yonyo asks what he's doing. Mukpung then smiles, saying that's amazing. For him to have that kind of martial prowess at that age sure is crazy. Yonyo says that he's right, and he starts getting embarrassed. Yunji asks why he's happy, and Yonyo says that he's praising him. Mukpung thinks that Yonyo is a pushover now, and says it's a shame that the first darkness was unable to defeat him. But if he thinks about it from a different perspective, and it was all worth it because he met a real martial artist as talented as him, asking if he would like to work for him. Yunji yells, asking what he's trying to do, and Mukpung says that if Yonyo comes to his side he will give him things that he never even imagined having, and he will give him the power to rule over the world and immense wealth. Yonyo says that anyone who has an inkling of morals and ethics would never fall for such sweet words. Yunji is so relieved that he's not doing it, but Yonyo says that he'll instantly fall for it if he starts talking about some money instead, and she folds, telling him to go die, calling him a piece of shit. Wangya asks what he is doing, and if he really thinks that power and wealth are that important. Yonyo says yeah, and Mukpung agrees too. Even Yunji says that they are. Wangya says that's true of course, but says that there's no way he can offer more than he can, and that he'll give him whatever he wants since he has the power of the emperor supporting him. Mukpung tells him that there's nothing he can do for him, and he may be the emperor's brother, but he has already given up on both wealth and power, and the only thing he can do is give him a position as an official. His father can give him all the power and wealth he could ever want. Yonyo tells Wangya that he's definitely losing right now. Then Yuan says helping an evil man with his schemes and conspiracies is very different from helping to reveal the conspiracy. Asking if his master did not teach him morals. Then asks him what he said, and what he advised him to do in such situations. Yuan says that, seeing as he was always mentioning his master, he must value the beliefs of his master very much, and there's no way a master would teach his disciple bad morals, and he's sure he's taught him things that would help him out here. Yonyo asks if he really wants to know what his master said, and Yuan says yes. Yonyo says his master told him to stick to the side that would get him more money, and his master always said that morals and acknowledgement have no value because they're not what will feed you. He said that the right thing to do is to take money when offered, rather than try to be kind. Yuan asks what the hell kind of master that is, and Mukpung says that his master is right. Morals and acknowledgement don't matter, and his father knows to value those who have helped him, and he wants to know if he'll work with his father or not. Yonyo asks what he means by work, saying that he doesn't want to do that. Yunji knows how lazy he is, and says they won't make him work, and he'll get the best food, and rest all day every day. Yonyo asks if she's serious, and then Mukpung catches on quickly, saying that he was stupid, and he doesn't have to work if he doesn't want to. Of course, he'll still give him the reward as promised. And Yonyo asks if he's serious, and says that he sure is a generous man. Mukpung says he's nothing compared to him, and the rest just wonder what they're watching. Yonyo asks what he's going to have to do then, and Mukpung smiles like the ugly bastard he is, asking if he can kill everybody here first, as it's only natural that those who commit treason are sentenced to death. Yonyo says if that's what he really wants, and Yunji starts to get annoyed. Yonyo then asks why they all committed treason, and Yunji says that he's making it up, asking why he even believes him. Yonyo says that they've even found a book of signatures, and that he feels like it's a bit much to kill them as he's never killed anybody before. Mukpung says that he'll do it, saying that someone needs to bring him his sword, and he doesn't like to dirty his own hands, but there should be no hesitation in carrying out sentences. Yuan says that he's sure that he's better than this, asking how he could do something so disloyal to the nation. Mukpung says that what he's doing right now is out of loyalty to the country. Yunji closes her eyes, and screams out for her father, and Yuan as well accepts his fate. Yonyo says that he thinks that's enough, as he stops the blade with his fingertips. Mukpung is still just tweaking, asking how he's this strong, and then asks if maybe he forgot what they just talked about. Yonyo says of course not, but he's had enough of playing along, as he doesn't even know if Mukpung understands what's necessary in order to be lazy, and the most important thing is avoiding trouble. He once broke an ink slab that his father really liked when he wasn't home, and even though he was only gone for 3 days, those 3 days felt like death. And when he finally came back, he was beaten senselessly, but he felt much better afterwards. Wangya says that he should have killed him back then and Yunji agrees. Mukpung asks Yonyo what he's even talking about. Yonyo says that his master also said that, while he should not forget his hatred, he should also not forget what others have done for him. A person who does not give back what he has received will end up paying more in the end, and that he needs to pay back what he owes before the interest compounds, and that he thinks that it's about time that he pays back his debts. Once more they're all surprised by his actions, and Mukpung says that he sees. All those words are him just saying that he's going to stop him. He then starts laughing while looking hella ugly, and then locks in, but of course still looks ugly. He says that he wasn't trying to scout him because he was afraid of him. Yonyo says that he never thought that to begin with. Mukpung raises his hand, saying that if he wants he can kill him like he's nothing as a giant hand of aura starts to float up into the sky. He says that he should consider it an honor that he's the one killing him. Wangya and Yuan didn't actually expect his fat ass to know martial arts, and he launches his attack straight towards Yonyo. While there's a giant hand, there is also a ton of little ones flying straight towards him. Mukpung says that he'll give him some advice, and that in his next life he should stop being so lazy. As the attacks fly closer, the workers close their eyes out of fear. But Yonyo says this is strange, as he's seen this somewhere before. Mukpung says that he used an ultimate technique from the start because he seemed pretty skilled, but he definitely won't be able to react in time. Of course Yonyo starts dodging all of the attacks, and he even pulls his hair because he's too lazy to move his head. He just uses the minimum movements needed to dodge them all. Mukpung asks how he didn't get hit at all, and Yonyo just asks if he's done. Mukpung turns in fear, asking how he got over here. Yonyo reminds him that he just watched the whole process, and then he raises his foot into the air, and kicks him once in the chest. He rolls backwards, flying through the air, I guess pigs do fly, until he crashes into the wall, and Yonyo says that one kick should be more than enough. The workers are all surprised, and immediately after it falls silent, they start untying one another. Wangya asks Yonyo if he's dead. Yonyo says that he didn't kick him that hard, plus he's also fat, so he's sure that he's fine. He then walks over to Mukpung, asking if he wants to keep going, and Mukpung tells him to wait, and that they can just pretend that none of this ever happened. They all just kind of stare at him, wondering if he's kidding. Wangya says hell no, and tells everybody to arrest him. Mukpung once more pleads to be let go, and Wangya asks if he's really ever seen a royal inspector just let go of a criminal like himself. Mukpung says that if he does not return home, his father will take care of things that have gone wrong, and he will resort to a final gamble. No matter what the results of that may be, the royal palace will take irreversible damage. Wangya calls him evil, asking if he really needs to send him back in order to prevent a bloodbath in the palace. Even if he were to send him back, it would be very difficult considering his household, and that Gi would use more cunning and evil methods. Wangya asks if he really wants him to just watch as he messes up the royal palace, and Mukpung tells him that's what politics is about, and that he can just think of it as a temporary peace by holding the eunuch spy facility's weaknesses as blackmail material. Wangya tells him that he heard that eunuchs dig 10 holes to escape through because they are like little rats, and he tells him to take one of those and piss off. Later, as they are all leaving for some reason because they are letting them, Yonyo asks Mukpung if he wants a piece of advice. The martial art he uses is great, but its force is bound to decrease when he is using a technique to minimize his physique size. If he really wants to fight him properly, he has to let go of that disguise that he is using first. Mukpung says that he will keep that in mind for the next time they see each other. Yonyo says that he doesn't want to see him again, and Mukpung tells him that he wants that too, at least not in this appearance. Yonyo says if that's the case, it looks like it's finally over now. As the sun starts to rise, Yonyo tells them all that he is going to go to sleep, and they can take care of the rest. Yunji barks at him, asking if he is really going to go lay down, and he says that he has his rights, asking if she remembers. She gets annoyed, but realizes that she can't say no, and Yonyo says that don't wake him up as he is going to sleep until tomorrow. Yunji is obviously pissed, and Wangya and Yuan just accept it. His life was very comfortable after that day, and it seems like Yuan and Wangya were struggling to resolve their problems, but that had nothing to do with Yonyo. He got served a delicious meal 3 times a day, and no one yelled at him for sleeping in late. It was basically paradise for him. Yunji goes into his room, telling him to get up, and of course he doesn't reply at all. She says that she knows he is only pretending to be sleeping, telling him to get up already. He asks why. She tells him that her father wants to see him. He says that he was meant to have guaranteed rest though. She says that he was the one who asked to see him, and he has already been rolling around in bed for a week. Yonyo says that he could just see him another day though. She rips the sheets out from underneath him, causing him to fall onto the floor, and drags him over to her father's office. We see him and Wangya inside. Yuan thanks Yunji, telling her that she is excused. Yonyo takes it as he is too, and bows. Wang Ye barks at them, saying not you. Yonyo tells Yunji that she needs to stay behind, and she says that obviously he is talking about him. Wang Ye starts to get frustrated, and eventually Yonyo takes a seat. Yuan reminds him to stay calm. Wang Ye pulls something out of his robe, and Yuan tells him to hurry. We see Wang Ye reluctant, but he does so, handing it to Yonyo. Yonyo quickly takes it, and Wang Ye even asks if he knows what it is. Yonyo says that he doesn't, so Wang Ye asks why he took it without saying anything. Yonyo says that he could tell it looked expensive, and his master said to always take something valuable. Wang Ye tries to tell him what it is, and Yonyo says that there's no take-backs, and he can't be petty about it, and surely he's not going to act like a kid and ask for it back, when he already gave it to him. Wang Ye tries to explain it, but Yonyo says that he already has it, so it's his now. Wang Ye barks at him, saying to let him speak. Explaining that it is a sword, but also the royal inspector's divine relic. It's an item that will let him get treated like he had his status wherever he went. Yonyo takes a second look down at the blade, and Wang Ye asks if there's a problem. Yonyo asks if that's all, saying that he thought maybe it would be something more practical, like he could use it to buy food or a house, asking if there's any more. Wang Ye asks what he means, and Yonyo tells him to stop acting dumb. He can't just act like what he did is worth only this much, and that the world works on give and take, and in today's world, something more modern would be better, and of course, he knows what he wants. Wang Ye starts to get frustrated, asking if he really wants money over the divine relic. Yonyo says yes, but he can't be that direct, as he did learn manners. Wang Ye then throws an ink block at him, and Yonyo asks if he's giving it to him too, as it looks expensive. Yuan tries to explain that's his, but Wang Ye sighs, saying that this is the royal inspector's gift, and he will be treated well if he has that with him. It means that he is giving him a title befitting a royal inspector. Yonyo asks if that means that he has to do more work. Yuan says that he would be holding an official position. Yonyo asks exactly what that means, and if he will have to do work or not. Yuan tells him to just take his words at face value, and Yonyo agrees, saying that it's only because he's older than him. Yuan tells him that the royal inspectors have been dispatching secret inspectors all around Zhongyuan, and the position has been empty for a while, but it would be nice if he could be the one to take it. Once more, Yonyo asks if this is everything that he's been given, and Yuan tries to steal his ink block back. Wang Ye says that he will give it more, and he'll sell his house if he has to. Yonyo says that it's good, as it would have been annoying if he didn't offer at least this much, but if he didn't try giving him money, he'd figure out his own ways, and they both realize he was going to sell the sword that he was just given. Wang Ye asks what household he's from and who his master is, but Yonyo tells him he can't say him, and Yuan stealthily puts the ink block back into his robe. Wang Ye wonders if it's because he doesn't trust him, and Yonyo nods his head, saying yes. Wang Ye says that he knows who he is, yet he refuses to trust him, asking if he's going to continue hiding his identity. Yonyo says that it's not a matter of identity, though, it's just that he cannot trust someone who hides their martial arts, and is so obviously acting, and that he knows that he would only need a handful of seconds to take down Mukpung, and that he really doesn't like the fact that he was hiding his martial arts, but more importantly, he doesn't want to be used as a piece in someone else's Go game. Wang Ye asks if he knew he was capable of martial arts, and Yonyo says that he thought it was strange, as he knows there are people who are crazily obsessed with Go, but traveling over 400 kilometers just to play a single game is ridiculous. Yet way too many people came here to do it, and he assumed there was some kind of plot, and he happened to appear, then Mukpung appeared as well, leading to the whole incident, and that was when he had to make a decision on who to side with. Wang Ye asks if they're not the obvious choice, and Yonyo says that it was more likely that Mukpung was telling the truth. The book of signatures might have been fake, but the royal head inspector is gathering people to join his forces behind the scenes. It's hard to think that it was just a friendly little thing. The most likely circumstance is of course treason. Wang Ye asks why he helped them anyways, and Yonyo says that Yunji called for him, and he was really just going to run away if he didn't get caught, but she really didn't seem to know anything, so he couldn't just leave. As Master said that meaning, and worldly matters are important, but that it's all for naught if you cannot see a person. Wang Ye asks if that's why he acted the way he did, was to gauge his reaction during all of that. Yonyo says yes, and it made him feel like shit. Yuan can tell that this is just a very convoluted Go match, and Yonyo tells him that he'll be direct, asking Wang Ye if he's planning to commit treason. Wang Ye asks what he'll do if he says that he is, and Yonyo says that if he is, then he's just going to go sleep comfortably. They continue yapping as Yuan watches their match, and pretty much Wang Ye asks why he's not loyal to the emperor. Yonyo says he's more loyal to Wang Ye since he was the one who at least gave him gold. Wang Ye seemed amused by the answer, and then he starts laughing, saying that he knew he was clever, but he's better than he anticipated. But they are not planning treason, they are just gathering forces to go against Gi. Yonyo says he understands, and Wang Ye continues saying that the problem is that he has caught on. He wants to know if Yonyo knows why Gi sent Mukpung, and it's to get him to kill him. It wasn't that he wanted to get Mukpung to capture him, he wanted him to kill Mukpung. Then he would have been able to expose that he has been hiding his martial arts capabilities, and that he had gathered all these people. That's when Yonyo stepped in, and he apologizes if it was displeasing, playing him on the go board as he put it was not his intention, and that he and Yuan were just desperate at that very moment. Yonyo says he understands, and Wang Ye begs him to believe him. Yonyo says that he already said okay, but Wang Ye wonders if he's really going to take on this secret royal inspector role. Yonyo says he's only going to say it once, and he's never going to actively seek out work. Wang Ye tells him it doesn't matter, the world will not leave him alone even if he wants it to. Yonyo asks if he's trying to insult him, but Wang Ye tells him that it's just the path of a hero. Yonyo says he's good then, but Wang Ye tries to tell him he can't deny fate. Yonyo says if that's the case, he's just going to dip, and Wang Ye tells him that today he is leaving. Yonyo says that he hopes they never see each other again, but Wang Ye thinks that they will. Yonyo calls him a freak, and as he leaves, Yuan asks Wang Ye what he thinks. Wang Ye says that he's more than he expected, and he expected his martial arts to be good, but not the point he'd be good enough to catch on that he knew martial arts. He thought he had picked up a dragon, but he's basically a monster, and if they're not careful, he might end up devouring them instead. Yuan says that the risk is worth it though. Wang Ye says if martial prowess was all there was, then he'd agree, however he's smart too. He knew everything that was going on, but did not make a move until the end, and he's not just strong, he wonders who raised that monster, and they should investigate all there is about him. Wang Ye says that they might not be able to find his dead master, but they could definitely find out which family he comes from, asking Yuan if he understands. He says yes, and then that night, we see Yonyo staring up at the moon, and we hear Yuan asking him if he's going to leave. Yonyo looks down, seeing him standing below him. Yonyo says that he's not going to leave without a proper goodbye, especially when he let him stay here, and feed him. Yuan says that he can tell he's planning to leave though, and Yonyo says that it's true, but he learned a lot while he was here. Yuan asks what exactly he learned, and Yonyo says the two most important ones are that even scholars who read a lot often live according to the text they read, and that this area is actually a rather scary place. Yuan asks how so, and Yonyo tells him that he never imagined that the strongest person he's seen after coming out to the Zhonghu would be in this territory. Yuan says that Wang Ye's martial prowess is definitely impressive. Yonyo tells him to drop the act already, and Yuan says that as expected, he knew. As we see him releasing a blue aura, Yonyo says that he could tell from the start, and Yuan tells him that he has a favor to ask. Yonyo says not to worry, as he doesn't plan to tell anybody. Yuan says that he really hopes that to be true, as he would like to continue to live as a scholar. Yonyo says that he wants to know one thing in return. His master told him to go see the world here, so he thought that he'd see justice or something. Instead, what he saw was the dirtiness of the world. Yuan tells him that everybody learns, and holds an ideal in their hearts, but the ideal that each person has varies. When those ideals clash, people learn that you must first surpass reality in order to bring your own ideal to life. Everyone knows that one must undo their ties with the world, but it takes way too long. There is no guarantee that the detangling will work even if he puts time into it. Those who do not have the patience end up looking for ways to just cut the knot out, and that is what leads to arrogant people with dirty consciences. They all end up throwing away their own lives, or send their own adoptive sons to their deaths. Yonyo asks if the entire world is like this, and Yuan says the palace is actually worse in some ways, but he doesn't assume it's very different in other places either. Yonyo says he still doesn't understand what his master wanted him to see, and he doesn't know what he's supposed to feel either. The world is way too fast for someone as lazy as him to see, and figure things out. Yuan says that's a good thing though. Yonyo asks how, so Yuan explains that if the world is fast, he just needs to chase it slowly, and those who are fast will see, and learn a lot, but perhaps those who are lazy will see the details better. He wants to know what the point is, and knowing what he is supposed to see, and feel ahead of time. He needs to walk at his own pace, and see the world with his own eyes, then the world will tell him the path he should walk. Yonyo seems genuinely surprised by this, and starts to get some kind of enlightenment, as he instantly starts to meditate, saying that he needs to feel himself as he is. We see his aura starting to float up towards the moon, and Yuan watches with a smile on his face before he jumps up to the roof with him. Yonyo then opens his eyes, and nods his head, and Yuan asks if he learned something, and Yonyo says to be honest he doesn't know. Yuan laughs, saying that's fine as long as he gets it with his mind. He then dips, saying that he hopes he will find his answer one day. Yonyo still just stands there, but seems pretty happy, and then he lays right back down, seeing that he feels something in his core, and he wonders if that orb his master gave him ended up doing something. He looks up at the moon, and imagines his master asking if he understands it now. He closes his eyes, and turns over, saying not yet. Later, Yuan stares at Yonyo while he's sleeping, saying that he thought he was going to be leaving soon. Yonyo says that it's already late, so he'll leave tomorrow. Yuan says he's been doing this for the last 2 weeks, and Yonyo tells him it happens. Yuan says still though, but he gets cut off by somebody thanking Yunji for hosting them. They are the Swift Dragon Escort Agency, and they ask what item they're here to transport. She walks into the room saying this thing, and points to Yonyo, who asks if she means him. Even the workers kind of stand there for a second before telling her that's a person. She says it just looks like a human, and it's nothing but a burden. They say that they do escort people, but they have a different carriage for them, and they are only prepared to transport goods right now. She tells them not to worry about that, as they transport animals like cows and chickens, while he looks human, but he's basically an animal. They can just throw him in a carriage, and give him 3 meals a day, he won't complain. She'll pay them like they are escorting a person though. Rather, she'll pay double that, so just take him away. They try to tell her that even so, rules are rules, and she eventually says triple, and of course they don't budge, but when she quadruples it, they instantly shake hands, and start to escort Yonyo out. He says that she's sending him away like he's some kind of trash, and she says that he sure is quick to catch on. Yuan asks what's going on, and she says that it's about time they get rid of this parasite. Yonyo says he heard that the morals of the Zhonghu are in the gutters, but still, he wants to know how she can do this to him. He's their savior, so he wonders if this is any way to treat him. Yuan agrees, saying that they're indebted to him, so in return they should let him do as he pleases, but she says that if they do that, he'll probably stay here until next year. He realizes that she's right, and she says that she's basically helping him. Yonyo asks how this is helping, and she says that he already said that he was headed to Hubei, and he can go with the escort agency since they're also headed there. It's also a free carriage ride instead of walking all the way to Hubei. The escort agency also gets money, and they get rid of him. It's a win for everyone. Yonyo says that she's actually very convincing. She tells him to go with them. He says that his mother told him not to follow strangers, and she says it's fine if they're trustworthy people that she's checked into already. We see him in the back of their carriage, saying that he's going to get going then, and he didn't expect to leave so suddenly. Yunji and Yuan tell him to take care, and Yonyo says that Yunji seems really happy. She asks if it's that obvious, and he kind of just groans at her. He then tells the escort agency that he's ready, and lays down on top of some boxes. As they start to ride away, Yunji yells at him, and he looks over wondering what she wants, and all she says is to take care. He asks why she's saying that after kicking him out. She tells him to stop being so lazy. He says whatever, and waves by as they ride off. Yuan then tells her to head back inside, and as they do, she takes one look back, and smiles, and gives him one final goodbye. The escort people eventually regroup with their leader, who is named Bai Hang, and he asks if this is really the item that they're transporting. The other men say yes, and he asks if this is a joke. Because if they are escorting a person, they should prepare more. They tell him they wanted to turn down the request, but it was not one that they could have refused. Bai Hang then asks how long he's been like this, and they say ever since they left. Bai Hang just finds it impressive that he's sleeping so soundly, saying that he surely would be sore. One of the workers says that the institute said that if they just feed him like he's a chicken or cow, he will not cause trouble. Bai Hang though says he doesn't understand it, and calls out for Yonyo. Of course there's no reply, so he starts banging on the crates, and Yonyo asks him what he wants. Bai Hang introduces himself, saying that he's in charge of this mission. Yonyo says okay. The dude says that this trip is for transporting goods, and not people, so if he comes with, it will be uncomfortable, asking if he's really okay with it. Yonyo tells him that he's here as a good, and not a person. Once more Bai Hang says it will be uncomfortable, and Yonyo says that's fine. All he has to do is sit still, and they will take him to his destination. Bai Hang says that he sure is an optimistic dude, but that they'll head out now. Yonyo says okay. Then 5 days after they left, we see him stretching, saying that he's actually getting tired of this. If he's awake, he falls asleep, and if he's sleeping, His master appears in his dreams, and harasses him. It's because of the dream training mythic arts, and he asks how long it's going to be like this. Hoping it won't be for his entire life. He then lays back down, but Bai Hang tells the group to wait. There's some rustling in the bushes ahead of them, and Bai Hang asks who's there, saying that he requests to meet them. Yonyo wonders if it's bandits, and Bai Hang says that nobody's coming out, which means it's not a good sign. If they're stalling, it either means they're amateur bandits, or dangerous people are going after their carriage. It would be nice if it were the former, but he can't get a proper read on the presence in the bushes. He once more repeats himself, telling them to please come out, otherwise he will take it as a sign that they have every intention of fighting them. The bushes are silent before they start rustling more, and a man steps out of them. Bai Hang just seems a little confused. The guy stabs his sword into the ground, and introduces himself as Pying Dojuk of the Hubei Pying clan. Bai Hang introduces himself, asking what brings him here. He says he is being chased by enemies that he cannot lose, and that he is requesting help, and it might become a threat to the Zhonghu. Back to the mad dog explaining to the historian, he says that that is how he met the guy who slammed the door in her face, and she instantly recalls Dojuk, and at that moment, Dojuk as well did not fully understand just how unlucky that meeting was with Yonyo, as it would push him into a whole river of misfortunes. Bai Hang says that the Pying clan thinks more of their muscles than their brains, but they are second to none when it comes to chivalry, and it must be something really serious then. He asks what they are supposed to do, and Dojuk says that there are people after him, and if they are willing to help him get out of this mountain, he will make sure to repay them for it. Bai Hang says they will help him, telling him to hide with everything else. Dojuk says okay, and as he starts to board the carriage, he sees Yonyo mean mugging him. Bai Hang then opens one of the barrels, telling him to hop in here, and not to make a sound. Dojuk says okay, and Yonyo says that he sure is noisy, but it's not like it's a bad thing. Dojuk then apologizes for putting them all at risk, saying if things go well, he will make sure to repay everyone here. Yonyo asks what the point of that is if he's dead. Before Dojuk can answer, Yonyo says that surely he has a conscience, as he's putting all these people in danger, and if he even had an inkling of one, he should have pretended not to see them. He then says he's tired of talking, so he's just going to sleep, and he tells him not to talk to him either. As they're riding away, Bai Hang looks anxious, saying that they're almost out of the mountain, and they haven't run into anyone looking for Dojuk yet, and he hopes that they're in the forest. But then, someone stands in front of the carriage, telling them to stop. It's such a shock that it causes Yonyo to bounce up, as they're now surrounded by men on all sides. Based on their uniform, Bai Hang can tell they are part of the Green Forest. He introduces himself as Bai Hang, and he offers them his greetings. One of the men asks if he did not see a young man in red clothing. Bai Hang says they haven't. The dude asks if he's sure, because if he's lying, he will not make it out of this mountain alive. Bai Hang says that he doesn't know what he's talking about, but why would he lie? The Swift Dragon Escort Agency has maintained good relations with the Green Forest for a long time. They would not have any reason to hide someone they don't even know, and make enemies out of the Green Forest. They then ask who Yonyo is, and he says that he's an item to be transported. They all stare at him confused, asking what he just said. Bai Hang says that he's both sick in the head and body, so they're taking him to a physician, and he doesn't need to mind him. The dude asks if he really doesn't want to make an enemy out of the Green Forest. Bai Hang says that he doesn't want to do anything so stupid. The dude agrees, but says that's exactly the problem. He asked if he has seen a man in red clothing. Yonyo says he's not wearing red though, and Bai Hang points it out too. The man puts his blade to Bai Hang's throat, asking if he's kidding him. Bai Hang starts to wonder if maybe he knows that they're hiding Dojuk, and the dude says that they'll do it like this. They'll kill one person, and if he still says that he hasn't seen the man in red clothing, they'll kill another, and if they kill all of them one by one, then they'll see if they're really innocent. He guarantees that someone will say that they saw the man before all of them are dead. He asks who wants to go first, and he walks towards one of the men who starts to get scared, and asks if he saw a man in red clothing. He freezes up, and the dude says his life depends on the answer, and he says that he hasn't seen anything. The man then says that he'll die, but Bai Hang charges in, pushing him away, and Yonyo tells them to look over here. Bai Hang wonders what he's doing, and the men from the Green Forest turn as well, and they wonder what he wants. At least the fighting stopped now, but now they're all focused on Yonyo, and the Green Forest man asks what he just said. Yonyo taps the barrel, saying that he's in here, and it's the Pying guy they're looking for. They're just confused on why he's outing him, and Yonyo tells him to come out since he's been outed. Bai Hang asks what he's doing, and Yonyo says it's fine. There's nothing more stupid than throwing your life away for someone else, and he asks Dojuk if he's really going to come out only after everyone is dead. Dojuk then lifts the top of the barrel and sighs as he hops out of it. The Green Forest guy says that he would have had a slightly higher chance if he had run away, calling him a fool. Dojuk says that if he did, they'd kill everyone here. He asks why he's only now pretending to be a hero. Dojuk says that he may not be a hero, but he's not so villainous to let innocent people die in his stead. He thanks Baihang for trying to help him, and he says that this is a problem he must resolve, and since he is their target, if he just leaves, it shouldn't be a problem for him. Baihang goes to say that he'll be in danger, but Dojuk says it's fine, and he can't run away from them forever. Baihang realizes he's right, and hops on the carriage, saying they wish him luck. But Yonyo says to wait, as they can't just leave. Baihang asks what he's talking about, and Yonyo says that they have to pass through the guys. The other worker asks why it matters, and Yonyo says it's obvious that they're going to attack them, and then they're all going to die. Baihang asks why they would attack them to begin with, and Yonyo asks if he's that stupid, saying that the Green Forest may be great, but he's sure they don't want to get into a conflict with the Paiyang clan. So what if they get out of here alive, and say that someone from the Paiyang clan was killed by the Green Forest? What does he think will happen? The Paiyang clan's people will look all over the mountain. The Green Forest people actually look surprised for some reason, and say that he's right. They didn't think that far ahead, but it makes sense. Yonyo is confused why they didn't think about this, and Baihang calls him crazy. Dojuk says that he started this mess, so he'll resolve it, and he'll fend them off so they can just run away. Yonyo says he sure is funny, and he started all this by hiding himself, and now he's going to try to play hero. He can't believe he's trying to act like the pinnacle of justice. He doesn't even know how much time he can stall when he was on the run from them because he couldn't handle them in the first place. He's bringing them down like some river ghost, but usually river ghosts only bring one person down, so he doesn't know what to call him. Besides, even if they do run, they already know that this is the Swift Dragon Escort Agency, and he bets that the agency will be screwed over before the Paiyang clan even gets the news of what happened. Baihang asks what they should do, and Yonyo says they need to fight, because if they run, it'll just be them fighting, and if they fight now, they'll at least have Dojuk to help them. Baihang asks if they really won't let them go, and they say that they won't. The leader of their little group tells his men to attack them. They charge in, saying that they shouldn't curse them even if they die. Dojuk blocks the first strike. He says that they said Jianghu is a big place, but if he had known that the world is this vast and dangerous, he never would have gotten involved in this mess. Ever since he was praised for being talented, and having a lot of potential, he grew arrogant, and let his guard down, like it was poison to his mind. And it's all his fault, as he starts fending off all the attacks, doing the best he can. He says that everybody here is going to die because of him. One of them gets the jump on him, saying that it's over for him, and Dojuk closes his eyes, apologizing to everybody. Something flies in from the side, and we see it's a teacup hitting one of the men in his ribs, and it instantly knocks him to the ground. Dojuk is speechless, and turns, wondering what that was, as we see Yonyo juggling more teacups, saying that they sure are a handful. Dojuk does a double take, and says the thing that knocked him out is nothing more than a teacup. Yonyo tells him he's getting distracted again, as he blocks another attack. Yonyo says that he brought over all the enemies, and now he's going to die without having done his share of the fighting, and he really is a river ghost. He tells Baihang that he's also going to die at this rate. He throws another one of the teacups forward, hitting one of the Green Forest men in the chest, sending him flying. He continues doing this all around, and Dojuk just looks like he's in a bad spot. He says that he doesn't have time to get distracted by these things, and needs to get it together, and he can be curious later. He's using one of his family's martial arts, called the Five Tigers Gate Destroying Blade. He starts attacking wildly towards all three of the men, but then to his surprise, they effortlessly dodge the attack. He says that he forgot this isn't a duel, and there's no need to try and deflect or block these attacks. All three begin to attack him in unison, and he says that he's going to die, before three teacups fly in, sending each one of the dudes flying. Yonyo tells him to just die already then. Baihang asks Yonyo to help him, but Yonyo reminds him that he's an item to be transported. Dojuk just wonders what is going on, and Baihang says that this is not the time to be thinking about that, but he does agree. Dojuk wonders why he's agreeing, and Yonyo says that some mean girl told him that if something were to happen, he should stay up here instead of causing more trouble. She said that otherwise, he'd be doing their institute harm, and that she'd chase him till the ends of the earth to harass him. Baihang says that he'll take responsibility, and just begs him for his help. Yonyo says that he doesn't know, as he tends to keep the promises that he makes. Bai Hang says that he's going to be uncomfortable on his journey if they die, but Yonyo says that he's not really comfy right now either though. Bai Hang says that he's sure it's very uncomfortable, and if things go well, they can rest for 2 days at an inn the next time they cross a town. Yonyo asks if 2 days is all they've got, and Bai Hang leverages that he can eat all he wants to. Yonyo asks if he's serious. Bai Hang says yes, and then calls him a donkey. Dojuk and some of the Green Forest dudes just wonder what the hell they're listening to. Yonyo picks up one of the crates, asking if he promises. He says yes, and inside of the crate is just more teacups. He then throws 5 of them in an instant, taking out all of the dudes in front of Dojuk before Dojuk can even realize what's going on. All of the men are now unconscious, or at least incapacitated. The leader of the little group realizes that Yonyo is a martial master, and Yonyo hops off the carriage. He calls out to Dojuk, and Dojuk turns back to look at him, and Yonyo says that he brought them all here, so he should be trying his best to help if he has any sense of guilt. Not only did he almost get everybody else killed, he's not even doing his share of the fighting. He'd get it if he was trying his best, but he got distracted and almost got killed multiple times, and he wants to know what his deal is. If he has a head, then he has to think. He tells him to look. Since he has a blade, he just needs to focus on attacking. While a blade is strong and heavy, it's slow, so how is he going to fight multiple people with a slow sword, saying it's nothing but a suicide mission? Dojuk says that wasn't his intention, and Yonyo tells him to wait for his turn, or just go for one guy at a time. Same with the move from earlier, why would he waste his time to use an attack that's so easily dodgeable? He takes his blade from him, saying that he'll show him how it's done, and Dojuk says that he took it before he could even react. Yonyo starts swinging, doing the same technique Dojuk did earlier, but his marks are much more destructive than the one that Dojuk did. Dojuk just wonders how he knows his family's technique, or if he just copied it from seeing it once. Yonyo tells him that if he's going to fight multiple people, he should at least try to swing it faster. There are times when he should sacrifice strength for greater speed, just as there are times when he should be slower, but have more strength. He keeps attacking all around the Green Forest guy, and he's low-key dropping a log into his pants, and Yonyo asks why it's so hard for him to understand. Dojuk apologizes, but really doesn't know why he's apologizing in the first place. Yonyo hands him the blade back, telling him to do better, as the Green Forest dude is just shaking. Dojuk then stands before him, saying that he needs to focus on speed and precision, and after he readies himself, he opens his eyes only to see the dude running away, saying they'll come back for him later. He's confused, and Yonyo just sighs, saying this is frustrating. Sometime later, he thanks Bai Hang for everything, and Bai Hang says there's no need to thank him, as they're getting paid after all. Yonyo says that it was easy going, thanks to him though. Bai Hang thanks him as well, as they'll never forget him saving their lives. Yonyo asks if verbal gratitude is all he's going to get, and Bai Hang stares at him, wondering if he's serious. Yonyo says he's just kidding, and he'll take whatever from the Pying clan instead. Bai Hang asks why he was so cold to him, and there was no need to chase him off like he was really a ghost. Yonyo says he's misunderstanding something. He would have died if he wasn't there, and that's the same with the others, all because of that one guy. Bai Hang says that's true, but it looked like he had his reasons, and it seems like he was doing something good. Yonyo asks if something good is all it takes, and Bai Hang says it is. Yonyo then asks him if that justifies killing people. His master said there is nothing more stupid than risking your life for something that is not related to you, and that he should prioritize himself. He knows people value justice and all that, but if there are people who must be sacrificed for it, he's better off not having this greater good, and he needs to be happy before others can, meaning his priority is him. He suffered enough damage to not care about the guy anyways. Bai Hang says that both goods, and the martial artist, and their agency are safe, and that the Alliance is supposed to take care of the Green Forest matter. Yonyo says that's good to hear, and he hopes that they'll get to see each other once more. Bai Hang though says probably not, and he doesn't want to hear something so ominous. Yonyo says that he's finally arrived, as he's standing before the Nature's Hand Manor. It then jumps back to his family's clan. His mother and father are worried, saying they still can't find him. A man then quickly barges into the room, saying that there's a message from Yonyo, and he's actually sent them a letter. It jumps once more to Gi, saying that he can't believe he failed such a simple plan, and he asks Mukpung if he was that afraid of dying. Mukpung says no, and it might have been meaningful if he had died at the hands of Wangya, but he was fighting someone else, so even if he did die, it would have nothing to do with Wangya. And he's not afraid of death, but he is afraid of a meaningless one, and he wants it to have some kind of use. Guy says that he shouldn't forget that he does not keep dogs that are useless, and if he wants to stay by his side, he had better develop a skill, or bring him a bone. Mukpung bows his head, saying of course, and his father excuses him. As he leaves, Guy says in the end he's useless and ambitious, and a pig like that one will end up jumping right into the boiling pot. As Mukpung leaves, he sighs, saying that eunuch doesn't know any fear, and a man tells him that he's still useful, and he believes he should continue keeping him alive for now. Mukpung nods his head, then asks what use they can do with him anyways. The man says just his existence alone acts as a restraint on the royals, and Mukpung says he could do that too. He wants to know how long he has to play along with this eunuch. The man tells him there's something else he must do, as there were summons from the pavilion, and they want him there as soon as possible. Mukpung smiles, saying that he sees, and finally he'll be able to get free of this sickening appearance, and Guy will be rid of. Once his use is done, and afterwards, everything that was his will be taken over by him, and the royals have no reason to rush. He asks what the others are doing, and the man says he doesn't know the details, but he thinks they're getting their hands into the medical field. Back to the Nature's Hand Manor, a man tells Yonyo he's in the wrong place. This recommendation is for the Sacred Hand Manor, and this is the Nature's Hand Manor. He's only here because Yuan told him to be here, and Yonyo asks if this really isn't the Sacred Hand Manor, and the man says no, the one he's looking for isn't here. He needs to cross the street, then head into the alley, but he's just going to be disappointed. Yonyo starts following the instructions, and here's a man begging someone else to save his wife. Another person begs, saying that she'll pay him back for it, and if he doesn't help, her father will die. Then he says that he can't treat people without money. Yonyo says that he thought physicians would save people no matter what, but he guesses there are people who neglect them too, and money is obviously the most important thing in life. He's now looking around the alleyway until he spots something on the ground. It's the Sacred Hand Manor signpost on the floor. He asks if this is really the same place with 500 years worth of history. He enters, asking if there's anybody here, and a kid asks what brings him here. Yonyo says that he's here for business, asking if the master's in. The kid says yes, and Yonyo says to let him see them then. The kid tells him to go ahead, but Yonyo looks around, saying he said he wants to talk to the master, asking the kid if his father's home. He says his father died last year, so he's now the master, and his name is Jin So-ah. Yonyo asks if he's really the master. He says of course. Yonyo knew he wouldn't be able to get good treatment. He'd be lucky if he doesn't get struck by lightning on the streets. He asks why his master had him doing this shit to begin with, and he just wants to go home. A woman asks what's going on, and So-ah says that there's a guest here who wishes to see their father. She enters the room, and Yonyo looks surprised, and she asks him what brings him here, and there's this weird aura floating around her, and her name is Yuan. Yonyo starts to get a little nervous, and hands her the letter. She begins reading it, saying that it seems like he's here to learn more about physician manners. He says yes, and she tells him that as he can see, they've lost their glory, and she can't just send him away when Yuan himself sent him here. And it's not the best, but he should make himself comfortable. He says it's alright, and he can go somewhere else. If it's too much, she says she can't do that, and if she sends away a guest who came here for their late father, the others will talk badly about them. He says that it can happen if she doesn't have the means to provide for her guest, but she tells him that she can't send him away. We see him sitting inside of a room, saying that he should have known better than expect any different from someone who is friends with Yuan, but whatever, it's still a physician manner in the end. There's a knock at the door, and Yonyo asks what they want. Yuan then enters, bringing him a tray of food. She says that she thought he might be hungry, so she made him some, and while it's not much, she tells him to enjoy. He asks how this isn't much, as this is 3 days worth. He tells her to eat with him. She says that she already has, so he doesn't need to worry about her. He says that they're not as poor as he thought they were. He then hears some talking in the hallway, and overhears So-ah asking how she got all that food. Yuan tells him to be quiet as he's eating, and So-ah says that he's so far, he definitely won't be able to hear them. They don't even have rice left, so how does she afford all of this? She tells him that he should just focus on his studies, and not worry about the workings of the house. He then asks what happened to her necklace, and she says that she just took it off for a bit. He says that she never took it off because it's their mother's heirloom, asking if she sold it. He starts to feel conflicted, looking at all of the food, and she says that she just pawned it for a bit to borrow money to get it back once they're doing better. As they continue, Yonyo says he can't eat this. Yuan then enters the room, asking if the food is not to his liking, and she'll make something else. He says that's not it, and starts eating it, asking if it's too late to get a refund on the food. The next day, we see him walking down the street, saying that he ended up eating all of it, and he doesn't feel like he's digested it yet, and it would have been fine if she just served what she had. He stands before the Milky Way Manor, which is what she talked about, where she sold the necklace. A man asks what brings him here, and he says that he's looking for something. The man asks what he's talking about, and Yonyo says a necklace that the Sacred Hand pawned yesterday. The man welcomes him inside, saying that he's sorry, but they pawned it instead of selling it, so he cannot give it to him unless he's from there. This is the owner of the Milky Way branch, called Daefeng. Yonyo says that he is from the Sacred Hand Manor, and Daefeng says he's never met him before. Yonyo says he came yesterday, asking if this will do, and throws a bag of money on the table. The man says this isn't enough. Yonyo tells him that there are more than 2 silver nyangs in there. The dude says that he only took 1 for the necklace, and Yonyo asks why that matters then if there's more there. He says they ask for 3 times what they gave when you want an item back, and a 6th time the price when you're back after more than 3 months. Yonyo says that's a very high interest loan. Daefeng says rules are rules, and he can't just sell it. He can just sell it if he doesn't want it, of course. Yonyo asks if this isn't enough, and the dude says no. Yonyo says at this rate, they won't be able to make enough to get their necklace back, and he's sure that she knew this when giving it up. Yonyo then asks if he can sell items too, and the man says of course, if he pays 3 times the price within a month, he can get it back. Yonyo says that this can make up for the missing amount of gold. And it should be expensive since it's gold. It's the thing that Wang Yi gave him, and the guy opens it, saying it's definitely gold, and he can get 1 golden yang for this, but when he comes back, it'll be 3. He then opens it, and realizes that it's the royal inspector's blade, and starts tweaking. Yonyo asks if 3 gold is all it'll cost, and the guy just says that he's fucked. If you've watched till the end, comment, juice, to let me know. Subscribe for more videos like this, leave a like or a comment to help the channel out. Thanks for watching.